Sports.
We are Buckmore. We are Wisconsin.
Welcome to Miller Park. Kind of rainy outside, kind of cool, but we've got baseball inside. Perfect conditions as every game has been on this homestand. The Brewers just need a win right now. They are just 1-3 to start things out, so they turn it over to Mike Fiers tonight, who's trying to regain his 2012 groove, especially at this time a year ago. First half of the season, sensational, and he's trying to get his first win here of 2013. Hi, everybody. Craig Kashan and Davey Nelson back with you here on Fox Sports Wisconsin. We've got good news and bad news here tonight. So, Davey, I think we deliver the good news first, right?
Oh, that's right, and that's Kyle Loesch, and he certainly was outstanding. He lived up to his billing because he pitched 5 or 6 strong innings. I thought he had great command, and surprised to see his command that good. And Gene Segura, boy, first home run this year, but dead central. And the not so good news, Ryan Braun started out with the neck injury, and then Ramos Ramirez.
Yeah, Braun will be out again tonight, so he's missing 2 consecutive nights. This was the significant injury to Ramirez, re-aggravated that strain in his left knee, so he has been placed on the 15-day disabled. There's no tear in the knee. That's the good news. Josh Prince has been recalled from AAA. Another versatile player, can play the infield, can play the outfield for the Brewers. So that's the move made today by Milwaukee. Now there's a domino effect, a chain reaction of who goes where after that. And we'll discuss when we come back who is playing where, especially in that infield. B.A. and Rock will get you square. Also in the outfield as well, Davis will get one more chance for Ryan Braun. Wisconsin is brought to you by Menards. Save big money on all your home improvement needs at Menards. By Miller Lite. It's not just a good time, it's Miller time. By Toyota. Let's go places. and by the wireless receiver only from AT&T Uverse. Visit att.com/freeyourtv. Rethink possible. Here to take you the rest of the way, our game announcers, Brian Anderson and Bill Schroeder.
All right, Craig, thank you very much, and great to have you. We're set for Game 2 of this 3-game series with the Diamondbacks. And, Rock, let's first talk about the Brewers and the plans moving forward now. Craig and Dave, you gave you the news. Aramis Ramirez on the DL. Ryan Braun not available tonight, and I think it's beyond Plan B. Looks like maybe Plan C or Plan D at this point.
Everybody talking about the depth of this organization, but nobody anticipated it would be tested this early in the season. Ron Renneke has guys in positions they've never been in before. You look at first base, the Brewers are 4 deep on the depth chart already. Corey Hart, Gamble, Gonzalez, and Betancourt now getting his start. Now, Alex Gonzalez is getting his first career start at third base, 5 days, mind you, after his first ever start at first base. Right. So it's going to be interesting to see. A guy like Gonzalez certainly can handle it. Betancourt picked up late in spring training, gets his first career start at first base here tonight. So the depth of this organization is on the test. Josh Prince called up recently. He can play short. He can play the outfield. It gives Ron Renneke a little bit of flexibility on the bench.
Well, we'll see if the Brewers can weather this storm, both outside, the roof is closed, and inside the clubhouse. The Brewers and the Diamondbacks. Mike Fiers on the mound tonight. Stay with us. First pitch is coming up. As the Brewers in their home whites hit the field at Miller Park behind right-hander Mike Fiers. Game 2 of this 3-game series and his opening homestand of the year, game number 5. There is Kurt Gibson, former MVP, now managing the Arizona Diamondbacks, his 4th year as the skipper in Arizona. Has a very good ball club. They're hoping to contend in the National League West this year. His batting order is brought to you by Piggly Wiggly. Gerardo Parra leads off, then Martin Prado, followed by Aaron Hill. Middle of the order is Montero, Goldschmidt, and Kubel. Bottom 3, Eric Chavez getting his first start of the series. Cliff Pennington and Patrick Corbin, the tall left-hander on the mound. Defensively for the Brewers, brought to you by Menards. It's Chris Davis making his second start in left field. Gomez in center, Aoki in right. On the corners, Gonzalez and Betancourt with Segura and Weeks up the middle. Lucroy does the catching once again. And Mike Fiers ready to make his debut start of 2013. Chris Davis making start number 2 in left field.
Well, the Brewers are certainly hoping that Mike Fiers can get off to a very good start, just like he did a year ago, his first start in May last year. early on, very good. You can see his numbers overall, still good numbers at 374 earned run average and more strikeouts than innings pitched a year ago.
Sam Holbrook will call the balls and strikes. Paul Nart, Andy Fletcher, and Chris Conroy on the bases. 4-man umpiring crew in place. Saturday night at Miller Park. And Fires delivers the first pitch, and away we go. A strike called. The red-hot Gerardo Parra. 9 hits already on the young season. 9 for 19 at the plate. Had a double last night, and he hits that one hard into left center field. Gomez on the run. Gomez leaps and makes the catch as he crashes into the wall.
Now there's a good way to get Gomez going anyway, running into the wall. Oh, you have a microphone out there on the outfield wall. Sounded like you were right there. Gerardo Parra is hitting everything right on the nose. That was a pitch right down the middle. He takes it deep into center field, but Gomez is able to haul it in. Good catch.
Yeah, good way to get it started. And I hope Carlos goes over there and puts our microphone back in place. I think he knocked it out of the wall.
Yeah.
Here's Martin Prado now. Tonight getting the start in left field. Versatile utility man coming over to the Diamondbacks from the Atlanta Braves. Part of that Justin Upton trade. Started at third yesterday. Today Eric Chavez gets the call at third base for the D-backs. It was a 3-1 victory yesterday for Arizona. Brewers have lost 3 in a row now, while the Diamondbacks come in with a record of 4-1. They took 2 out of 3 from the St. Louis Cardinals. 3-1, I beg your pardon. Took 2 out of 3 from the Cardinals. They won a 16-inning game on Wednesday. And then not a whole lot of offense last night, but at the time it was scored as a wild pitch that plated 2 runs. That wild pitch has been changed to a passed ball. It affects the earned runs for Burt Badenhop, but the runs count the same as Prado shoves one into right field, a base hit.
Just a hitting machine. These Diamondbacks, when it's all said and done this year, are going to put up some very good offensive numbers. Top of their order, very good. And they've got some pretty good run producers in the middle of the order.
Steve Sachs, first base coach for the Diamondbacks. It's not a team that's going to do a whole lot of running. They were not very successful stealing bases last year. Actually, the worst in the National League a season ago. For the most part, a station-to-station ball club. Aaron Hill. This series features 2 of the great power-hitting second basemen in the league. He had Aaron Hill and Ricky Weeks. And Hill's always been a tough out for Brewer pitching. Matter of fact, in the 10 games he's played against Milwaukee, splitting his time between Toronto and Arizona, he's hit in all 10 and is 20 for 40 at the plate.
And the Brewers able to handle him pretty well in yesterday's ball game. He was 1 for 4. Which is kind of a small victory for the Brewers pitching staff against Hill.
We saw Kyle Loesch yesterday, and he pitched well, but Mike Fiers trying to carry that torch. Starting pitching and the rotation trying to get going here in the early season.
Yeah, similar guys, you know, Loesch and Fiers. You know, Loesch got a lot of mileage last night with a changeup, and Mike Fiers is going to try and do the same thing. It really was amazing how good he was at commanding his off speed in yesterday's game. You know, 1 start for the Brewers, although he did work very hard to get ready, but his changeup outstanding last night. Actually threw more off speed pitches did Loesch than fastballs.
Went 6 innings last night, gave up just the 1 run as Hill lines one fair down the left field line, had the green light on 3-0, and this is going to score a run. Martin Prado will score as that ball took a wicked carom down there and bounced past Chris Davis.
Yeah, Davis certainly not used to the You know, the little corner down there in left field. Ball rattling around and got by him, and that allowed Prado to score from first base. It'll be a sure double. Whether they give him an RBI, we'll see. I don't know. Right down the line. And certainly a ball that you would expect Ryan Braun to be able to handle pretty easily. Caroms off by Chris Davis, and that allows the run to score.
And it will in fact go as an RBI double for Hill. And the Diamondbacks take a quick lead, 1-0, and Hill continues to hurt the Brewers pitching. Now 11 straight games with at least one hit. Miguel Montero takes strike one from Fiers. You know, it's just been a long spring for the Brewers. They didn't have their team together. There were 13 players for the Brewers who played in the World Baseball Classic. The last 10 days the ball club was together in spring training, but then you show up to the regular season already dealing with injuries, and they are trying to weather this storm. And it's not just the fact that Ryan Braun is out. That's a day-to-day thing. Ramirez is going to be 2 weeks. It's not considered serious. Had an MRI done last night. It showed no tear in the ligament, which is a good sign. But you got to remember Corey Hart as well, and that's the big injury. So the Brewers without their 3, 4, and 5 hitters right now.
And it really puts a lot more pressure on your starting pitching. I mean, you don't think Mike Fiers knows that offense is going to be a little tougher to come by with, you know, Ryan Braun out of the lineup, Ramirez, Corey Hart, your 3, 4, 5 hitters in your batting order. Ron Renicky doesn't have him in there, so pitchers obviously are going to put more pressure on themselves to keep the other team off the scoreboard.
D-backs with an early run here. RBI double by Hill. Montero down in the count, 0-2. And Fiers just misses. Ball and 2 strikes.
Everybody knows what happens when you try too hard. You pressure yourself to do a little extra. A lot of times things don't work out.
Two and two. The Brewers are still playing with a 4-man bench, and Josh Brent's promoted to the big leagues today. When he does play, it will be his major league debut. Still have Logan Schaefer on the bench, Martin Maldonado, and Braun is a bench player today, and not sure he's available. However, did not take batting practice, didn't participate in any of the pregame drills today. He did make an appearance, however, to receive his Silver Slugger Award from last season, but he just doesn't look good. He doesn't look mobile. He's got tightness in the neck.
Well, and you know the Brewers are going to keep him out if there's any risk of him injuring that anymore. And not sure the extent of the neck injury, but yeah, don't be surprised to see Ryan get a day off tomorrow again, just to make sure that thing is done. You don't want that nagging him all year.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Montero. And he chased one, fouls it away. All right, before the ball game, Braun did make an appearance on the field and received his Silver Slugger Award. There with General Manager Doug Melvin. And was quick to give that big trophy up again. He's putting together quite a collection of hardware. Got an MVP trophy, Rookie of the Year, multiple Silver Slugger Awards. Montero lifts that one high and deep to left center. Gomez has room to make the play. So Montero is out, the second out of the inning. And a couple of deep fly ball outs in this first inning against Mike Fiers.
All 4 hitters have been right on the baseball for Mike Fiers so far. Montero takes it to the opposite field, gets under it a little bit. And Gomez able to make the catch. A couple of near misses in center field. It was a rough spring training for Mike Fiers. Really had a tough time commanding his pitches and gave up a ton of runs. But ended up earning that number 5 spot in the rotation. Chris Narveson not ready to go to start the season.
Here's Paul Goldschmidt now. Now Fiers, on paper, if you look at the Cactus League statistics, his last 2 outings were very poor. He gave up 12 earned runs in 7 innings in spring training play. But the outing that doesn't appear on there, he did stay back in Arizona while the team came here to Milwaukee last week to play that exhibition series. And he pitched in a simulated game. Actually, it was an inter-squad game against the Brewers minor league affiliates, and he pitched well, and he recognized the fact that he's facing hitters from single A, but he did say his command was back. He was able to throw his breaking balls where he wanted to, and so he comes in with a little more confidence than he would otherwise, having had to endure 2 poor starts at the end of the spring. And they always say spring training stats don't matter, but you know that's got to stick in a pitcher's head if he's getting wrapped around all over the ballpark.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter what you're doing early on. You're just working pitches and, you know, just trying to get your arm built up. But your last 2 or 3 starts in spring training, you want to have a good feeling going into the season. There's no doubt. Same thing with a hitter. You know, last week of games, you really want to feel like you're dialed in at the plate.
Has Goldschmidt down, a ball and 2 strikes. And Goldschmidt calls timeout, or asks for timeout, and is granted. So the count remains at a ball and 2 strikes. A run is in on an Aaron Hill double. He's standing at second. Fiers trying to minimize the damage in this first inning. Bouncer out to Segura. And that's it for the top of the first. Brewers coming up, off and running with a bang tonight, courtesy of Carlos Gomez. He has a great way to handle adversity, and going to find out about some young players. And here's his Piggly Wiggly batting order today. Ron Renicky sends out Nori Aoki, Gene Segura, and Ricky Weeks at the top of the order. Alex Gonzalez, Jonathan Lucroy, and Uni Betancourt in the middle, with Gomez, Chris Davis, and Mike Fiers rounding it out. And that's the lineup that will face the tall, thin left-hander, a New York native, Patrick Corbin.
There you see his numbers from a year ago. 22 appearances for the Diamondbacks, 17 of them starts. Earned run average of about 4.5. He had a tremendous spring. He was in a battle with a couple of other guys for the number 5 spot in the rotation and won it clearly. Had a very good spring, and here he is tonight.
Beat out Tyler Skaggs and Randall Delgado for that 5th spot in the starting rotation. He worked a lot this spring. Pitched in 7 games in spring training this year, made 5 starts, and had a .281 earned run average in those 7 games. So here he is, making his first start of the season. Nori Aoki takes a strike. the book on Corbin, he is very efficient. So you figure the Brewers will be up there swinging the bat tonight. Throws a lot of strikes.
Back-to-back left-handers for the Diamondbacks. It was Wade Miley last night. Another guy that doesn't walk many. So I guess if you're the Brewers and you're going into that batter's box, you better attack early. These guys aren't going to walk you.
Aoki with a base hit last night. He was 1 for 4. Brewers squeezed out 1 run last night against Miley and company. A Gene Segura home run. Aoki in his second season in the big leagues after a stellar career in Japan, where he won 3 batting titles. Slow roller going to be a tough play. Aoki on the run, shovel to first, not in time. Boy, that was some kind of play by Aaron Hill to even make it close.
He just kind of punched it over there with his bare hand and right on the money. Paul Goldschmidt. How about Aoki? How about this play? Check it out. A shovel pass over there, made it close, but Aoki's great speed, able to beat it. Good call over there by Paul Nart.
Well, that was a fantastic play by Hill, and bang, bang, it goes to Aoki. And a good call. So an infield hit to start it. And here's Gene Segura now. Well, Segura, a big moment last night, his first career major league home run. Was in the big leagues for the final 6 weeks of the season last season. Went homerless.
You know, the only mistake that Miley made in last night's ball game, a 2-0 fastball to Segura, hit it out to center field.
With the injuries, specifically the injury to Ryan Braun, Segura moves out of the 8th spot in the batting order up to the number 2 spot. Reineke's had to juggle his lineup a great deal, as Weeks hitting third today with Alex Gonzalez in the cleanup role. And the big question coming into tonight's game, where does the production come from for the Brewers?
Well, the 2 hottest hitters, the shortstop and the second baseman right now for Milwaukee. Segura and Weeks, both over 400.
Well, Segura is 6 for 14 to start the year with that home run, his lone extra base hit for the season. There goes Aoki, and a swing and a foul by Segura. Brewers are an aggressive team anyway on the base paths, but you figure Reineke's going to even add to that without his big sluggers in there, Ramirez and Braun. Gonna have to manufacture some runs here. Craig and Davey had a good conversation on our Brewers Live pregame show about some of the small ball the Brewers will have to play here. Still have some speed in the lineup. Ball and 2 strikes on Segura.
Yeah, the Brewers are without about 100 home runs when you have the 3 guys out. Ramirez, Braun, and Corey Hart. A lot of production.
Top 3 home run hitters last year. Corey Hart expected back late April to early May, somewhere in that time frame after knee surgery. But he is rehabbing in Arizona now, and he's coming along very well. And you know, he's anxious to get back, and especially with recent developments. Aramis Ramirez placed on the disabled list. The same injury that he had this spring, sliding into a base. He missed 2 weeks this spring, and it's the left knee. But I think everybody got a sigh of relief when the MRI came back negative, did not show any tears to the ligament. I think that was the fear when everybody left the ballpark last night, that there was more significant damage to the left knee.
Well, the good news, you saw right away, he walked off under his own power, didn't need any help. That was a good sign.
Segura has it even 2-2 with Aoki at first, and Corbin will give him a look.
thing you realize when you watch the Diamondbacks, Kirk Gibson requires his pitchers to hold runners on very close. They all do. Corbin was pretty good keeping Aoki close. Wade Miley very good at doing that. Understands the benefit of holding runners and minimizing the running game for the opponent. And why wouldn't he? He could run. He was a guy that can hit home runs and steal bases. Kirk Gibson.
Yeah, what a great player he was. And he has assembled a coaching staff, speaking of hardware, full of hardware. Got a couple of league MVPs. Kirk Gibson won it in '88. One of his coaches, Don Baylor, was the '79 American League MVP. Silver Slugger Awards, Gold Glove Award winners, postseason MVPs. He's got a great coaching staff. Alan Trammell is his bench coach. Don Baylor, Steve Sachs, Matt Williams. There goes Aoki, and a liner into left field. That is going to fall, a base hit. So Gene Segura continues his hitting ways, and the Brewers off to a good start here in the bottom of the first.
Aoki running on the pitch, and Segura able to dump it. Looked like a changeup. Just kind of fed it out there into left field, hooked it out there, and good start to the night for Milwaukee. He waited back nicely. He looks very comfortable up there at the plate.
That'll send up Ricky Weeks now with 2 on and nobody out. Ricky Weeks is 7 for 15 at the plate. He scored 5 runs. He's homered. Had a hit last night. He was 1 for 4. Well, he becomes the one big run producer that Renicky still has available, and that's why he puts him in the 3 spot in the batting order. And he's up there in the first inning with a chance to drive in some runs. The Diamondbacks scored in the first on an Aaron Hill double, who drove in Prado, and now Weeks trying to answer. Diamondbacks have rearranged their defense a little bit here tonight. Some of the same characters in there, but Kirk Gibson has balanced his playing time. He's playing with a 5-man bench. No balls, 2 strikes on Ricky Weeks, and it goes to 1-2.
Corbin, one of those guys, again, reached about 94 with a fastball, pretty straight. 4-seamer, 2-seamer, a slurvy type of slider, and a changeup.
Missed inside, ball 2. Good take by Weeks. Patrick Corbin, just 23 years of age. He'll turn 24 later this summer, from Cicero, New York. He was a basketball player in high school. Basketball and baseball. Thought basketball was his #1 sport. Weeks to third. Chavez to second for 1. That's all they'll get. So Eric Chavez making his first start of the series. Been nursing a sore wrist. He gets a call at third base. Pennington, Hill, Goldschmidt around the horn, same as last night. Montero does the catching. And then Prado is in left field tonight with Parra and Kubel joining him in the outfield. Defense brought to you by Menards.
You see Chavez able to get 1. A good job by Aaron Hill, not trying to be too quick at second base. That ball might have ended up down the right field line. Not a good throw by Chavez.
Put out goes 5-4. First and third now for the Brewers. For Alex Gonzalez. Alex Gonzalez spent the offseason looking for, hoping for an everyday job in the big leagues as a shortstop. That offer didn't come. I think there was a lot of questions about Gonzalez and the surgically repaired ACL knee surgery last year in May. And he told his agent that if I don't get a starting shortstop position somewhere, I want to go back to Milwaukee as a utility player. But I bet he never bargained for this much playing time. And starting at two positions where he's never started before as he drives out in right center. And that is going to be caught. What a play by Kubel. Aoki will tag and score. Kubel in a last-minute stab hauls it in for the out.
I tell you, that was a nice catch. You don't really think of Jason Kubel as a great defender in the outfield. He's all about hitting, but made a nice throw in yesterday's game to cut down a runner. And doing a nice job angling back with his ball out in the gap. It was slicing back to him, which helped him just a little bit. But that was a nice catch right at the warning track. But Alex Gonzalez ties the game with a sac fly.
And for Gonzalez, his second RBI of the season. Excellent catch by Kubel. And now 2 outs for Jonathan Lucroy. Lucroy is hoping tonight is the night that he breaks out of a slump to start the year. He is hitless in his first 13 at-bats. That RBI he has posted came in the Brewers' first game, that walk-off sacrifice fly to beat the Colorado Rockies.
He's just such a good hitter. He's got a good approach. What he's been doing lately, rolling over a little bit, and a lot of ground balls to third and short, something you don't see from Lucroy very much. His timing is just a little bit off. He's a little bit out in front.
Lucroy to right field, a base hit.
That's why I like it. That's Lucroy's game right there. Didn't roll over on that one.
First hit of the season brings a smile to his face. And the Brewers keep it going here in the first inning.
A lot of fastballs so far from Patrick Corbin, and that one getting a little bit too much of the plate. And Lucroy able to drive it hard into right. That's what he does so well.
So the Brewers with 3 hits in this first inning. And here comes Yuni Betancourt now. Betancourt making his first career start at first base. After the Aramis Ramirez injury last night, it was Betancourt who came in to play first as they moved Gonzalez to third. Well, you got to love the attitudes, though, of these two shortstops, these veteran shortstops the Brewers have, Betancourt and Alex Gonzalez. They just want to play. They want their names to be in the lineup, and doesn't matter where they play, even though it's a position that they haven't played much. They both look comfortable.
Well, it's good you have veteran guys that you can call on to do these types of things. And it'd be different if you're talking about a young kid just trying to get his feet wet and having him moving all over the diamond. Alex Gonzalez has seen just about everything, and he's played now just about everywhere.
Betancourt was in spring training camp with the Phillies as a non-roster invitee. Had a great camp in Florida with the Phillies. Hit over 400 this spring. Pulls that one to third. Chavez has the long throw, and not a problem. So the inning ends, but the Brewers do some damage. They score a run on 3 hits, and they tie it up.
time of the game, Leonard. Bay Rest Resort in Arkdale, Wisconsin. They call the Brewers in the next 24 hours. They get 40 Miller Lite beer pen tickets to a Brewers home game this year. This offer courtesy of the Tavern League of Wisconsin and Miller Lite.
Mike Fiers ready to go here in inning number 2. Diamondbacks getting a run on 2 hits. Prado a single, Aaron Hill an RBI double in the first inning. Fiers facing Jason Kubel. Saved a run with his glove just a moment ago. Brewers put a shift on for Kubel, playing him to pull. Longtime Minnesota Twin, now in his 2nd year with the Arizona Diamondbacks. He spent 7 years in Minnesota. He had a big year last year for the D-backs. Popped 30 homers, drove in 90 runs.
I would imagine he enjoyed hitting at Chase Field as opposed to Target Field. Much better hitters ballpark in Arizona than Minnesota. Able to play indoors. And a little bit cool up there in the Twin Cities right now.
Yeah, you think about that run the Twins had as they were finding their way to the postseason. It seemed like every year, but doing it in the Metrodome, and Morneau and Mauer and Kubel, Kadire in that lineup. That was a pretty heavy hitting batting order that Ron Gardenhire was posting, and only 2 of those 4 are still left in Minnesota right now. 0-2 pitch, and that one's hit hard to right. It's got some topspin on it, and Aoki fighting with the lights makes the catch for the out. That looked like a Jeff Bagwell special from back in the day.
Yeah, a little sinking liner, a top spin liner, and Aoki able to haul it in after making it look a little bit tougher than you would have expected it to be.
Smooth.
It's an out in the scorebook. It's an F9.
F9. So 1 away for Fiers, and here is Eric Chavez. He'll be an interesting study tonight at the plate. He was hit by a pitch on Wednesday in the elbow. You see that protective guard he's wearing on his right elbow, which is his throwing arm. They had a scheduled day off Thursday, the Diamondbacks, and then Gibson kept him out of the lineup yesterday. See how effective he will be tonight, Eric Chavez. Chavez slaps one back up the middle, a base hit.
He can hit, though.
Well, let's send it down to Mark Concannon in the Brewers dugout. How you doing, Mark?
Doing great, B.A. Mike Fiers told me he was disappointed in his finish last season. He knows fans thought he got tired, so he worked out this winter, adding some muscle. He thinks that will help his endurance. On a personal note, Mike told me he was disappointed this winter. He and his buddies planned to cruise, but it fell through. Here's Fiers, a Florida guy, grew up around the ocean, has never been on a cruise. He says maybe next winter.
Well, he had work to do, right? Had to get ready for his opportunity this season, and he knew he was going to have a great opportunity to be in a starting rotation for the first time. And you have to remember, Mike Fiers is on an opening day roster for the first time in his career. He arrived to the big leagues in late May of last season and was stellar. His major league debut, at least his first start in the big leagues, was against the Dodgers. And he was outstanding that night. And there was a period where Mike Fiers, going all the way to mid-August, still had an ERA in the 1s.
Yeah. His first 16 starts, he had a .288 earned run average, and what Mark's talking about. Last 6 starts, a 7 earned run average. So, yeah, Mike Fiers really didn't feel as though he tired at all. He just didn't really have his command. And
that ball's hit hard to right. Aoki is back, and he's got it for the out as Cliff Pennington flies out. There have been a number of deep fly ball outs so far.
Another top spin liner out to Aoki, but you know, Fiers ended up with a .374 ERA, and nothing shabby about that. That was 22 starts. a 9-10 record. You know, he came up at the end of May. Everybody figured maybe 1, maybe 2 starts, and he was going to be heading back to the minor leagues. But he pitched so well, he forced the Brewers to keep him.
Made one appearance against the Diamondbacks last year. That was here at Miller Park in late June. And during that stretch, Fiers had a typical outing where he went 6 innings and no earned runs. He gave up just 2 hits, had 10 strikeouts against the Diamondbacks in late June of last season. Some kind of story last year for the Brewers, and he was a centerpiece on why the Brewers were able to get back into the pennant race when it looked like they were dead and gone. So much so they traded away Zach Greinke. Sean Markham was injured. He really never came back with any success. There was guys like Fiers and Rogers and Willie Peralta. The bullpen started putting it together. Axford regained the closer's role and was very good at the end of the season last season. And when it was all said and done, the Brewers finished with a record over 500. Quite a comeback last year. One and 2 to Corbin. Fly ball slicing into foul territory, and Davis slides. Did he get it? Yes, he did. What a catch. Chris Davis. How about that play sliding up against the tarp? So Chris Davis has his first gem of the year. And of course he's coming to bat next inning. All tied at 1. Inning, Carlos Gomez ready to lead off. He'll be followed by Chris Davis. And then Mike Fiers. All tied at 1 here, each club with 3 hits as we move to the bottom of the 2nd inning. Patrick Corbin back on the hill and throwing a lot of fastballs early. He comes with a reputation of a very efficient pitcher. Throws a lot of strikes. Tries to keep his pitch count low. As a matter of fact, in his 15 starts, averaged 82.9 pitches per start, which overall last year was the 6th lowest. And Rock, he's a guy who averages less than 15 pitches an inning on average, and for a young pitcher, that's a pretty good foundation to build off.
Yes,
of.
it is. He had 22 pitches in the first inning, and we were told that Corbin is a guy that has a lot of movement on his fastball, sinks it, cuts it.
Gomez sends one into center field, and there is out number one. Well, between innings, we had a chance to visit with Brewers bullpen coach Lee Tunnell, and we asked him to put the pieces together in the bullpen tonight for us.
Well, pretty much everybody should be ready and available tonight. We're not off to that great of a start. We've had a couple of innings that were just kind of goofy innings, from the one last night to the one that we didn't have a ball hit out of the infield the other day against Colorado. So we've had some challenges so far, but that's kind of, you're going to expect those kind of things during the year. It's just happening early in the year for us this year. So, everybody's kind of figuring out their place and where they fit. But we all ought to be ready tonight.
There's Lee Tunnell. We appreciate his time. And, for a guy who had a lot to do with the reclamation of John Axford, and before Axford made it to the big leagues, I think he certainly has his eyes on Axford in that closer's role, and some of those veteran left-handers, Gorzolani and Michael Gonzalez. He's a mechanics guy, Lee Tunnell, and he'll be certainly trying to work through the bullpen trouble that we've seen so far this year. Chris Davis, right center field. That ball is well hit, and it's off the wall. Davis on his way to second, and there he stands with his first major league hit. It's a double, coming off a fantastic catch last inning, and they'll save that baseball. Congratulations to Chris Davis. He's on the board with hit number one.
And just like Jonathan Lucroy, waiting back, being patient, letting the ball travel a little bit, and hits a rope in the right center. Those are the types of swings we saw Davis put on the baseball throughout spring training. I'll tell you, big time opposite field power. This did not miss a home run by much. Off the top of the wall out there, and a one-out double for Chris Davis, one that he will never forget.
Boy, he's got to feel good about that. Finally gets the first hit. Davis had been 0 for 5 at the plate, and now he's in scoring position for Mike Fiers, the Brewers pitcher.
He's not a big guy. He's 5'11", according to the Brewers media guide, 200 pounds, and he packs a punch in that bat.
Making his second consecutive start for the injured Ryan Braun. Braun is out with neck spasms. And what do big leaguers do after your first major league hit? They get it from Paul Goldschmidt to Garth Orge. And you would think that they would save it, but Kyle Loesch throws it into the stands. The old bait and switch.
That's good. That's not the one, obviously. That's not the hit. He had that one in his hand, but I would imagine Chris Davis did a little bit of panicking right there.
Yeah, that's the real ball. Athletic trainer Dan Wright, Josh Seligman, the Brewers strength coach.
That was a good one. I haven't seen that one.
That was a nice little maneuver there by Kyle Loesch.
And he did it quickly. He sold that very well.
Fiers down on strikes. The second out in the inning. First strikeout for Corbin. It's all in the technique, Brock.
Little sleight of hand for Kyle Loesch. Check it out. Look how quickly he does this. There it is. Bingo. Throws it off with the other hand, so that's not the one. A budding magician.
Looks like his changeup last night.
Yeah,
right?
boy, what a changeup it was.
Now you see it, now you don't. Top of the order, Nori Aoki. Davis has good speed. And And Aoki would love to bring him home here, give the Brewers the lead. Aoki has his bobblehead day tomorrow. Big Sunday bobblehead giveaway here at Miller Park. Start him with a hook and strike one. Good block by Montero. That keeps Davis at second. Count evens at a ball and a strike.
And second time through, let's see if Corbin and Miguel Montero, the catcher, trying to change up the pattern just a little bit. An awful lot of fastballs first time through that Brewers order. Already to Aoki, a lot of off speed.
Montero trying to slow him down a little bit. Aoki able to lay off. And it's 2-1 now on Nori. Had an infield hit in the first inning. Now 5 for 19 at the plate to start the season.
Backhand on Montero. Not the way you'd like to see him block it, but he was effective. He got it done.
Aoki is normally a very selective hitter, but he has only walked one time this season. Selective hitter and a strike thrower. See what he gives him here, and with Davis dancing around at second base, Corbin steps off. That one missed. 3-1. Corbin made his major league debut last year. His third full season in the organization. He was traded to the Diamondbacks from the Angels. Certainly a name Ron Renicky would have known about their time together with the Angels, although Corbin was pitching in the minor leagues at the time Renicky was the big league bench coach. That one missed outside. Ball 4. So there's walk number 2 of the year for Aoki. The patience pays off, and the Brewers with 2 on for Segura.
Corbin just couldn't get the breaking pitch over for a strike. Aoki not going after it, and just did miss the outside corner with that 3-1 pitch.
Well, Segura off to a great start. Had a base hit his last time up. Now 7 for 15 at the plate. And a chance to do some damage with 2 outs. First walk issued by Corbin. 4 hits and a walk thus far to the first 10 hitters. There's a strike. That fastball had a little zip on it.
Yeah, 93, 94 he's been topping out at so far. And pretty straight.
Miller Park, Milwaukee on a Saturday night. Great to have you with us. Brian Anderson, Bill Schroeder, Mark Concannon, and Sophia Minard. Greg Deshawn, Dave Nelson, our pre and post game. Don't forget Brewers Live coming your way after the game tonight. Final game of this series tomorrow. Brewers and the Diamondbacks, and what a pitching matchup tomorrow. Ian Kennedy, the Diamondbacks ace, against Giovanni Gallardo. Those two squared off a couple of times in the 2011 NLDS. Brewers will hit the road for the first time Monday. Trip down to Wrigley Field, or as folks around here call it, Miller Park South. Cubs home opener on Monday. 1-1 to Segura. 2 balls and a strike. Corbin is just off the edge.
Yeah, Corbin's mechanics have kind of gotten away from him just a little bit. That's why Montero went out to have a chat with him, kind of pulling that front shoulder and leaving everything up and away.
That one's hit hard in the gap, left center, down it goes. In to score, Davis. Segura to second. The throw is late, and it's an RBI double for the Brewers shortstop. And the Brewers have a 2-1 lead.
I love the way that kid attacks when he has the count in his favor. Last night, the home run on 2-0. This time, a 2-ball, 1-strike fastball, and Segura able to drive it out there in the left center. Here it comes, another fastball. Segura right on it. He barrels it up and drives it into left center, and another RBI for the Brewers shortstop. Corbin just can't seem to get ahead in the count in this inning.
Well, Davis had the 1-out double. Segura drives him in with a 2-out double. Could have been a close play at second to throw short hop Hill. And RBIs in back-to-back games for Gene Segura. 2-1 Milwaukee. And that'll bring up Ricky Weeks with runners at second and third now. Weeks reaching on a fielder's choice his last time up, and a ground ball over to third base. And a bouncer to short. Covington with a bad throw, but a tag by Goldschmidt for the out. And the inning ends. The Brewers strand 2, but they take the lead. Chris Davis with his first major league hit, a double. And then he scores on the double by Segura. 2-1.
We head to the top of the third, and with Ryan Braun out, it is Chris Davis who gets the start tonight in left field, and it is the young Brewers who are getting our attention on our AT&T Twitter poll. Which Brewers reserve do you think will step it up the most? Is it our left fielder Chris Davis, Logan Schaefer, or Josh Prince? Chris Davis settling in nicely here with that sliding catch and the double for his first hit.
Yeah, you're giving him a head start. That'd be my call right now since he had his first major league hit. I would imagine that Logan Schaefer, and this is just a guess, but I suppose he would get the call tomorrow. He has not started a game, and if Braun is not available, with he and Kennedy on the mound, a tough right-handed pitcher, you might see Logan Schaefer make his Brewers debut as a starter tomorrow. He's been so good off the bench, though. Gerardo Parra whistles one into center field, but Gomez is right there. Fly ball outs continue for Mike Fiers.
That's the same spot he hit in the first inning. Hey, tomorrow the Brewers take on these Diamondbacks at 1:10 p.m. and all fans in attendance get a Nori Aoki bobblehead courtesy of Robert Hack Diamonds. Visit Brewers.com for tickets. But you better hurry.
We got a couple. Wait for it. Which one do you want, Rock? The ball and glove? That's more your era. Why don't you take that one and I'll take this one.
A little frightening. You close that close to this camera. Actually,
It's probably better back here.
A little startled. I think you.
See, we have a line in the booth that I can't cross, so
right
that was that was a complete breach of booth etiquette. By the way, my bobblehead's on your side. I'm sorry. Nori Aoki bobblehead. I noticed some of the Japanese media covering Aoki.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing some kind of claymation time-lapse image with the bobblehead. I would love to get my hands on that to see what kind of creative art they were coming up with. I was fascinated by the whole procedure.
Yeah, when you get it, send it to me, will you?
I'll link it up to you, Ron.
Okay.
I'll tweet it at Brewers Fan Camp, right? Prado swings and fouls one out of play. Mark Kincannon, he's down there. He's up on all things anime. What do you have for us, Mark?
Well, BA, I talked to Nori through his translator Kosuke Anaji today, and Nori is overwhelmed. He is so honored that they did a bobblehead. Here is a guy, one of the top rookies in the National League, an all-star in Japan. This is a real highlight in his career. He is really taken aback at this great honor, having a bobblehead in his honor.
I don't know a more respectful Major League Baseball player than Nori Aoki.
Right, he is. Yeah, very humbled to be having the opportunity here. Do they have bobblehead days over in Japan?
I don't know. I don't think so. You'd think if they did, Nori Aoki would be a prime candidate, being the kind of star that he was and still is over there. But Nori's one of those guys, you know, he doesn't speak much English, but he certainly has enough to get around and communicate inside the clubhouse. And Kosuke Anaji is always with him. But he's very complimentary. He'll say things, you know, to different guys. Always building up players, and whether it's through his translator or. He once told me, "You have a nice voice." I said, "Oh, thanks. Thanks, Nori."
Yeah, you should be a broadcaster, right?
So there's Kosuke Anaji. He came to the Brewers. Kosuke did as the translator for Takashi Saito, and then remained for Aoki. On a hop, Segura played it into the perfect hop. Look at that arm.
Yeah.
Gene Segura. Outstanding play to get Prado.
Yeah, a little humpback liner off the end of the bat, and Segura had to decide whether to charge it or lay back. He laid back on it. There it is, doing a nice job. Good soft hands. Gets himself in position to throw, and he has a cannon over there to first base. Been very good, very steady at short since he's come over here last year.
Gene Segura putting on a show tonight. Now, we've said it a lot, but Segura just has the look of a star, an impact shortstop in the major leagues. You don't want to put a lot of pressure on him early in his career, but we got a chance to see him last year, all spring. And so far, what we've seen him in the regular season this season, and there's not much you don't like about his game on all facets, and just playing that hop into a hop he could handle, those instincts.
Now, you can't teach those things. You either have that or you don't.
So the question arises, can he play shortstop? Those are the kind of plays that they talk about, and he's passed those tests. There's a hot one to Weeks. He keeps it in front, recovers the low throw, unable to be dug out by Betancourt. Well, that would have been some kind of play as well.
Well, the tough part of the play was over for Ricky. He was able to keep it close, and he just threw a short hop over to Betancourt, who Not used to picking throws in the dirt very often. Right here, this is a great play by Ricky to keep it close. And disappointed himself. He gave Betancourt a very tough hop. One of those in-between jobs.
And that's a tough scoring decision because, as you mentioned, the hard part was over. The throw was poor. And Betancourt unable to pick on the back hop. And it will go as an error on Weeks. So a man on. Aaron Hill reaches on the E4. And that'll bring up Montero now. It's always a good debate, you know, plays like that, because if you start the highlight after he's got the ball in his glove and he's about to make the throw, then it looks like an error. But, right, you know, the degree of difficulty in that play, there's got to be a little panic set in. You know, Weeks has had to make this backhand stab. He's had to take the ball out of the air. He doesn't know where the runner is.
Yeah, but his back was to first base when he ended up getting in his glove. He didn't know where Hill was going to end up there. But that's the thing. I mean, if that ball scoots a little bit further into center field, it's a base hit. But because he was able to grab it and he made a bad throw, they give him an error. And that's probably the right call.
Yeah, Weeks would be the first to tell you he should have made that play. Montero sends it high in the air. Weeks is back in the grass, calling and catching, and that's the inning. So Mike Fiers putting up back-to-back zeros. Brewers lead 2-1. Great to have you with us. 2-1. The Brewers lead the Diamondbacks and trying to snap a 3-game losing streak. Our Carsuit.com email. The booth question comes from Philip in Watertown, and he wants to know, what does the statistic wins above replacement mean? The WAR.
That's WAR. I'll let you handle that one. You're the metrics, cybermetrics guy.
Well, you know, you don't break it out too often on the air, but it's certainly something that comes up as far as player evaluation with the Brewers. It's basically a formula that measures runs in association with wins, and that's how you compare players to what would be a replacement in that position. And the higher the number, the better the skill level, as Alex Gonzalez rolls out. But it goes back to the foundation of the game, which is obviously the most important stat, is the one on the scoreboard, wins. And to win, you have to score runs. So last year's WAR leaders, and this was the great debate, remember, with Mike Trout and Miguel Cabrera, who won the Triple Crown, but Trout had a WAR of 10.9. Ryan Braun was the best on the Brewers Club at 7.0. Anything above a 5 is typically what you'd consider an all-star caliber player, just as a measuring tool. And it's not just offense, it's how many runs a player saves as well. That's why Trout's numbers were so much higher than Miguel Cabrera's, who won the Triple Crown. And the argument of what statistic is most important. And we only usually bring it up on our air when we talk about how the Brewers baseball operations use it for evaluation.
Right.
And that's a big one. They look at that and OPS.
Trades, contracts, those types of things. Right.
Now, we were having a talk with Craig Counsell the other day, and some of the things that they look at to help them determine whether a player A, can be productive, or whether he is worth the type of contract that he might be asking for. So we'll try to bring that to you when we can. Lucroy bounces over to first, and Corbin, with 2 quick outs in this 3rd inning, has retired Gonzalez and Lucroy.
I'm going to have to study up on that. The WAR, WAR,
wins above replacement.
Wins above replacement. What would you put a WAR number on yourself?
Oh, like a -50.
Boy, they have a lot of different ways to measure the valuable player, and it is amazing. They come up with something new all the time.
Well, what I like about that particular stat is that it does go back to the most important statistics in baseball, which, as I mentioned, are wins and runs scored, both offensively and defensively. Quick inning for Corbin. On Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by Piggly Wiggly, the official supermarket of Fox Sports Wisconsin. And by Marshfield Clinic. Don't just live, shine. Brewers baseball tonight, Saturday night in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Great tailgating scene out there before the game, despite the cool temperatures and a little bit of rain that came down before the game tonight. But we're all sealed up. The roof is closed. Perfect baseball conditions inside Miller Park tonight. 2-1 Brewers. We head to the 4th. Paul Goldschmidt leads off for Arizona. Mike Fiers giving up a 1st inning run. Back-to-back hits in that 1st inning. An RBI double by Aaron Hill produced the run. He's given up just 1 hit since as Goldschmidt fouls it away. A lot of fly ball outs for Mike Fiers. There's a big cut from Goldschmidt.
Fire starting to incorporate that good changeup. We haven't seen that pitch being very effective for him down in spring training, but that last changeup to Goldschmidt got a swing and a miss.
See Lucroy going through a couple of signs. Shakes off the breaking ball, and the fastball is fouled away. Gotta give the Diamondbacks credit. They saw a talent in Goldschmidt and signed him up long term. They extended him 5 years. So he is under contract with the Diamondbacks through 2018, which I think is a great trend in baseball we're starting to see. There's been a number of long-term extensions signed this past week. Buster Posey, Elvis Andrus of the Rangers.
Well, it's a good deal for both the young player and the organization. You don't risk as an organization your player leaving via free agency. And well, they always say that, at least this used to be the old term, you know, the second contract is the big one. Of course, the first one not too bad these days.
Yeah, in context, you
right,
mean, yeah.
right. You sign that first contract for the security. It's the second contract that you go for broke. But I think those things are interchangeable these days.
Well, you think about Goldschmidt, it's a perfect example. He'll be 30 years of age when his contract expires with the Diamondbacks, and if he has the kind of career that they think he will and that he thinks he will, he's going to be right in the sweet spot of his career as he sends that one deep to left field. Bangs off the wall. Davis cannot get there. Gomez comes over to cut it off, and Goldschmidt is in with a double. That's another fly ball that had a lot of topspin to it. Otherwise, that one's likely into the seats in left field.
Usually means you're a little bit out in front. You can see Goldschmidt down toward the end and catches it on the upswing, but had that ball not had that topspin, it probably would have been out of the ballpark. And look at Gomez. Look how far he goes to back up Davis against the wall and get it into the infield.
Crashing into the wall. So there's the tying run at second for Jason Kubel, and he swings, hits one high and deep to right. Aoki looking up, and it's gone. A home run for Jason Kubel. A 2-run shot, and that gives the Diamondbacks the lead. First home run of the year for Kubel after a 30 home run year last season.
Yeah, got a curveball up in the strike zone. It was right down the middle of the plate, and Kubel did not let it go by. Yeah, they call those hangers, and Kubel did not miss it and was able to keep it fair.
Just like that, the Diamondbacks have the lead. And Fiers knew it, just trying to get one over with a curveball, and Kubel was waiting for it. Eric Chavez now. Chavez had to hit his first time up. Chavez coming over to the Diamondbacks from the Yankees. Bouncer, and Fiers whiffed, and that's going to get through for a base hit. Fiers normally fields his position well, but that one I think fooled him a little bit, and he just flat out missed it.
And another pitch off the end of the bat, and even with the shift that the Brewers incorporated, able to sneak that one into center field. You can see where Segura is, and one that Fiers probably should have had. You're right, he whiffed on it. Wasn't hit that hard.
3 straight hits to start the 4th inning. Still nobody out. Here is Cliff Pennington, switch hitting shortstop. Pennington had the game winner in that 16-inning game on Wednesday against St. Louis. Ended that 5.5-hour marathon in Arizona. Diamondbacks have a ton of shortstops in their organization. There's a soft liner over the head of Weeks, a base hit. And 4 consecutive hits to start the 4th inning. 2 on, nobody out for the D-backs.
And Ricky tried to time his leap, but a little bit too early, and that ball got over his head as Ricky was coming down off the end of the bat. And if he timed his leap perfectly, he might have been able to get it, but you don't know.
Well, here is Patrick Corbin, the Diamondbacks pitcher, likely up there to bunt the runners over. Inning started with a double by Goldschmidt off the left field fence. Kubel goes deep to right. Back-to-back singles by Chavez and Pennington. And Fiers in some trouble here. 7 hits for the Diamondbacks.
And no activity in that Brewers bullpen yet.
Well, you got a couple of players on the corners that are not used to playing those positions in Betancourt and Gonzalez. And so there's probably a little anxiety here. Wondering how they will handle the bunt plays.
And this is, what really exposes, guys that hadn't been in certain positions from time to time, these bunt plays. Different plays. There's 3 different plays, 3 different bunt plays that you can incorporate. Depending on which one you call, it determines who covers and who doesn't.
Not bunting. Corbin swings away. Chavez got a huge lead, but there was nobody covering second base. A calculated risk by Chavez. So the count is 0-2. Check the velocity tonight. The high speed pitch presented by Charter Cable. Corbin's been as fast as 95. Fiers is topped out at 91. Both pitchers feature very good changeups. No balls, 2 strikes on the pitcher Corbin at the plate. Squares early and bunts it in the air. And that's a strikeout for Mike Fiers. A foul ball on a bunt attempt with 2 strikes. 1 gone in the inning. Hey, don't forget, tomorrow NASCAR heads to Martinsville, the second short track race of the season. Jimmy Johnson will be there, the Daytona 500 champ. Fox Sports exclusive coverage of Sprint Cup Series racing. It all begins tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. Central. NASCAR on Fox. Back to the top of the order now with 2 on and 1 out. And by the way, the first strikeout for Fiers. Gerardo Parra, who is 0 for 2. 2 fly ball outs to center field.
He starts him out with a nice curveball. That one down and in. Parra has hit 2 baseballs very hard into center field, and both of them have been caught. And both of those hits on fastballs, so Fiers starts him out with a curve. Could use a ground ball.
And Parra shoots one into left field, a base hit. They will send the runner. Davis's throw to the plate, cut off. Throw to third is going to be in time. So a run will score, but the Brewers get a second out at third base.
Well, Davis not blessed with a great throwing arm, but what he did do was hit the cutoff man and allowed Gonzalez to get the out at third base. A piece of hitting once again by Gerardo Parra. You can see the throw floats a little bit, but Gonzalez able to make the throw to Segura for the out at third. Have to hit the cutoff man, which is what he did, and he gets an assist for it.
But the Diamondbacks add to their lead. It is now 4-2. 3 runs in here in the 4th inning. Parra is on a blistering run at the plate right now. Has 10 hits already this season and drives in his second run of the year. There's a strike to Prado.
And got rid of it quickly, and Segura able to make the tag.
Well, Segura didn't give him any path to slide in, did he?
No, he did not. Like a catcher blocking home plate.
The risk of sliding head first. Prado takes ball one. Prado has a hit tonight. He singled and scored in the first inning. Nice pickup for the Diamondbacks. They traded away Justin Upton and Chris Johnson to the Atlanta Braves. Got 5 players in return, including Martin Prado. Into right field, Aoki drifting back with room, and the side is retired. But the Diamondbacks score 3 runs on 5 hits, and they lead 4-2. Say the Brewers are introducing a program highlighting the organization's philanthropic outreach efforts called Beyond the Diamond. It will include a series of community outreach events involving players and coaches, Brewer wives, alumni, and team personnel, all working hands-on in the community. The events will be funded in part by the Brewers Community Foundation and focus on the areas of health, education, recreation, and basic needs. Beyond the Diamond from the Brewers Community Foundation and the Brewers Community Relations Department. Carlos Gomez leads off. Brewers are down a pair now as we head to the bottom of the 4th inning. Patrick Corbin coming off a 3-up, 3-down third. Very quick inning.
Yeah, 3 very weak ground balls. I mean, it looked like he had some movement to his fastball, his changeup down. Cut fastball right there. Got in on the hands of Gomez. First 2 innings, Brewers had ample opportunity to put up some big numbers on this left-hander.
And left 2 on base in each of the first 2 innings. Gomez a little half swing. He's able to check his swing. And the count goes to 2-2. Well, if they're just picking us up tonight, the Brewers are without the middle of the order. Corey Hart has been on the disabled list, not expected back for 3 weeks, maybe 4 at most. But Ryan Braun is day-to-day. He's out with neck spasms. Injured his neck yesterday taking batting practice. And Aramis Ramirez in the 4th inning last night, trying to stretch a single into a double, was thrown out and hurt his knee sliding into second. He was placed on the disabled list. Gomez, a slow roller. That'll roll foul. So you got an injury that's day-to-day. You've got at least a 2-week DL stint for Ramos Ramirez, and then you've got Corey Hart, who is inside a month from returning.
And you're talking about the majority of your home run power and the meat of your order. I mean, talking about your 3, 4, and 5 hitters. Those are tough guys to be without.
Powerball home run leaderboard. This is what it looked like at the end of last year. Braun with 41 led the National League. He and Ramirez and Hart 1, 2, and 3 on the club in homers. A team that led the National League in home runs. And none of them available. And it's amazing how fast things happen. And you know, Ron Renick's a really even-keeled manager. Nothing really gets to him. He's been through it a number of times as a player, as a longtime coach, and now a third-year manager. But he's having to go deep into the alternate plans with these injuries. Slow tapper, going to be a tough play. Pennington coming in, and the throw just does get Gomez. That's 5 in a row retired by Corbin. So here comes Chris Davis, who's had a stellar night tonight in his second start, and a great catch in foul territory. That was at the end of the second inning, and then he batted the next half inning, collected his first major league hit, and the old bait and switch by Kyle Loesch. And then gets credit for an outfield assist.
Yeah, hit the cutoff, man. That's what you're supposed to do as an outfielder, and he got an out. I figure the more at bats he gets and the more comfortable he's going to be. It's one thing to do it in spring training. It's another to do it with that third and fourth deck in these major league stadiums. It's a much different animal altogether.
Well, we talked about Davis and the fact that he has big power, but he hits for average as well. And you talk to those that have seen a lot of him coming up through the Brewers minor league system, and they say he has tremendous plate discipline. He doesn't typically chase out of the strike zone. Very advanced in that category coming up through the minor league system.
He hit over 300 between AA and AAA last year. He can run, and getting an opportunity here in the big leagues.
Back to the mound, Corbin. Easy play, 2 outs. And the big left-hander has settled in here. So he's retired 6 straight and will face the pitcher, Mike Fiers. Fiers was a strikeout victim his first time up. Both pitchers with just 1 strikeout, and they have each struck out their mound opponent.
Mike Fiers, as we talked about, is a guy that strikes out a lot of batters. More strikeouts than innings pitched, and it kind of tells you a little bit about his off speed tonight. He really didn't have good command of it.
Well, Corbin makes quick work of him here. 7 in a row for the big lefty. Brewers down 4-2 as we go to the 5th. focus on the defense. That was in the first inning. The Gomez catch. Chris Davis, a nice diving play. Segura, outstanding at short. And then Davis again hitting the cutoff man, turned it into an out and avoided what could have been a much bigger inning. Diamondbacks still scored 3 in the 4th, but that was a big out. Davis has his first major league hit tonight as well. Getting the start for Ryan Braun this evening. He's showed well.
And no Ryan Braun, but he's pulling his own weight here tonight, doing a nice job.
Big inning for Mike Fiers as we go to the 5th. Heart of the order coming up. Aaron Hill leads off. He'll be followed by Montero and then Goldschmidt. And Fiers could use a quick one. First time through the Brewers rotation, only Kyle Loesch has had the good outing. The others have been so-so. Gallardo gave up 3 runs in 5 innings. Peralta and Estrada giving up 4 runs in 5 and 5+ respectively. And now Fiers has allowed 4 runs through the first 4 innings. I thought you made a good point earlier, Rock, that I mean, these guys, they know the deal. The pitchers, they understand the injury situation. The lineup is disrupted with the 2 big bats out tonight, and there's a lot of pressure on them to hold the opposition down.
Yeah, trying to make the perfect pitch all the time, and when you do that, you don't feel as though your margin for error is very great. That's when things can snowball on you. Pitchers will tell you, don't think about that. Their job doesn't change from day to day, but you know that it's got to be in their thoughts.
Gallardo back up tomorrow, his 2nd start of the year. He'll match up against Ian Kennedy. Full count to Aaron Hill. And he gets under one. Good pitch by Fiers. He took something off. And easy for Segura for the first out, and a big bat to retire in this 5th inning.
Yep, a changeup that was inside on Hill, and he jammed himself. And you can see he spreads those fingers apart. Chokes down that velocity off it. And here it comes, and you can see him down on the end, actually.
That was a great look at the grip of Mike Fiers, and that's his game, just to change pitches. Buries that ball in his hand, and
depending on the grip you put on a baseball, you can alter velocity, 2-3 miles an hour, depending on how far you spread the fingers apart. And that makes a big difference. Just that little bit of speed that you take off, you add and subtract just a little bit. It's all it takes to keep the baseball off the barrel of the bat. Get him on the end, get him down on the handle a little bit. Keep him off balance.
Miguel Montero ahead 3-1 now. Montero is 0 for 2. Both of his outs in the air. And it goes to 3-2. Montero coming off a big year last year, especially when you consider the position he plays. Hit for average last year, hit .286, 15 home runs and 88 driven in. And he draws the walk. So Mike Fiers issues his first free pass, and 1 out with a base runner now.
Yeah, residents of Milwaukee, Ozaki, Racine, Washington, and Waukesha counties can purchase half-price tickets to the Brewers games against the Pirates and the Cardinals April 29th through May 3rd. Some restrictions apply. Save 50% on tickets at brewers.com/5county.
Here's Goldschmidt. Goldschmidt started the 3-run fourth with a double. Banged it off the left field fence. Diamondbacks took the lead in that fourth inning. RBIs from Kubel. He had 2. He had a 2-run homer. And Gerardo Parra drove in a run as well. Kubel's home run gave the Diamondbacks the lead. There's a strike, a fastball. Fire's first start of the season. A lot of questions at the end of spring training whether he would be in the rotation or not. He was making 3 plans. A, to be in the rotation in the big leagues. B, to be in the bullpen in the big leagues. Plan C was to start the year in the starting rotation in AAA. Goldschmidt sends one high and deep to left. And there it goes. And that is a big home run in this game. From 4-2 to 6-2 as Goldschmidt collects his second hit and his second home run of the season.
A lot of damage at the from 5 on down for this Diamondbacks offense. It was a changeup and Goldschmidt able to wait back. It was up, it was in, and Goldschmidt got it all. It was a changeup that he hit last night against Kyle Loesch that he ripped off the right field fence to drive in a run, and that was a hanger for him that time.
Kubel fouls it away. Now in an inning where Fiers desperately needed to put up a 0, the Diamondbacks strike for 2 quick ones with 1 swing of the bat. Still just 1 out. 0-2 on Kubel.
Now you see it change up and watch where it ends up if you can get that. Not a good spot for a changeup. Belt high on the inner half of the plate. Bottom half of this Diamondbacks order doing a lot of damage. 6 of the 9 hits.
Chris Narveson getting loose in the bullpen. And it was Narveson who was thought to have had wrapped up that 5th spot in the rotation. But coming off shoulder surgery, Ron Renicky and Rick Granite saying they just felt like they were pushing Narveson a little too hard coming off shoulder surgery last year, and he wasn't quite ready to jump into the starting rotation. So he opens up in the bullpen. That allowed Fiers a 5th spot in the starting rotation.
So you use him as a long reliever, allow him to build himself up on at a slower pace. You would think at some point that Narveson is going to be in the rotation at some point. You'd like to be able to have at least 1 left-hander in your starting rotation. The Brewers right now do not.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Kubel. In the air, center field. That ball's well hit. Gomez with room, however. And there is out number 2. Six runs in on Mike Fiers, and 5 of the 6 coming in the last 2 innings. 2-run homer by Kubel last inning. Goldschmidt with a 2-run shot just a moment ago in the 5th. Here's Eric Chavez. Popped him up. And Gonzalez puts it away to end the inning. Well, a big part of the Brewers family passed away earlier today. His name was Bill Haig. He spent 18 years with the Milwaukee Brewers. a Hall of Famer in the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association. And our thoughts and prayers from everybody inside the Brewers organization are with the family of Bill Hague. A 2-run homer, and we head to the bottom of the 5th. The Brewers have some work to do, but they are back at the top of their order. Marichka Aoki will lead off. Patrick Corbin has settled down. He has retired 7 in a row, and looks like it's going to be 8 in a row. 1 pitch, 1 out. A reminder that this week the World Poker Tour is all new from Paris, France, when the WPT Grand Prix de Paris, presented by ClubWPT.com, kicks off Sunday. 6 great players chase history. Over $500,000 in first place prize money in the City of Lights. World Poker Tour, Sundays on Fox Sports. Gene Segura with 1 away. Corbin has been able to get a lot of quick outs. The Brewers had him on the ropes in the first 2 innings. Scored a run in each of the first 2 innings. But he has been very efficient since. He retired Ricky Weeks in the 2nd inning after Segura had doubled in Chris Davis. That was a 2-out RBI hit for Segura. And that was the last hit the Brewers had posted. Bunch of finals from the big leagues today. St. Louis beat the Giants today. 6-3 was the final, just the 2nd win for the Cardinals. Tigers upended the Yankees. Yankees are now 1-4 to start the year. Tigers won 8-4. Albert Pujols had a couple of home runs. Angels defeated the Rangers 8-4 in Arlington. Josh Hamilton, some pretty newsworthy comments. And Segura back up the middle. Tough chance. Hill, sidearm throw, not in time. Segura with a base hit. His 3rd of the game.
Have that time with his legs. How quick does he get out of that batter's box? And on his way to first base, I think he stepped on Goldschmidt, asking him if he's all right. Well, he knew right there. Hill did not get much on the throw because of the awkward throw. Segura busted it down that line. He Looked like Segura got a piece of the back of the foot of Paul Goldschmidt.
And already his third 3-hit game of his career, which just began late last season. So a man on. Brewers are looking for a quick strike here against Corbin. What a game for Segura. He's made a couple of nice plays defensively. He has 3 hits. He has driven in a run. And on base for Ricky Weeks with 1 out. Brewers had a 2-1 lead going into the 4th. Diamondbacks scoring 5 runs in the last 2 innings.
Some kids have been productive tonight. Chris Davis and Gene Segura.
Now the Brewers are going to have to come back to win this game and then win tomorrow to break even on the opening homestand of the year after dropping 2 out of 3 to the Rockies. First series of the season. Veteran catcher and the 2nd-year pitcher, 23-year-old Corbin. Montero's done that a lot tonight. Just that motion to slow him down, take a breath. Just can't underestimate the value of a good catcher. And I'm not talking about a catcher who puts up numbers offensively, and he does, Montero, but just a guy that understands the other half of the game.
Yeah, psychological part of the game and handling pitchers and thinking with a pitcher and not having a guy out there shaking off every other pitch. How to motivate your pitcher out there and get the most of them.
Weeks lines one to left, a base hit. Well, he continues his hot hitting. Ricky Weeks 1 for 3 tonight, and 2 men aboard. Those have been the 2 best hitters the Brewers have had to start this season, Segura and Weeks.
There's a fastball by Corbin. It ended up down and in, and Ricky just drops the head of the bat on it. Nice short stroke and into left. You know, I thought was the best at that we were talking about, you know, getting a pitcher to a game and understanding what it takes to have success from your starting pitcher. Bob Boone. You know, Bob Boone with the Phillies and the Angels. He had a great reputation for being able to handle a pitching staff. And that was a guy that didn't hit much.
Right.
But still had a very long career because of it.
That's such a valuable commodity that doesn't really show up statistically. But certainly ball clubs understand that. As Gonzalez fouls one back. Yeah, one of your mentors, Ted Simmons, always talked about as a guy. Not only did he hit, Ted Simmons was a terrific hitter, but he handled a pitching staff. He was a leader. Well, the Diamondbacks certainly recognized that with Montero. They locked him up to a long-term contract last season. There's a strike on the inside corner, and Gonzalez down in the count 0-2. Big spot for the Brewers. In desperate need of some runs here, down 6-2 in the 5th. 2 on, 1 out. Alex had a sac fly and an RBI back in the 1st inning. Missed the inside corner this time. Gonzalez making his first start at 3rd base tonight. Taking over for the injured Aramis Ramirez. 2-2. Well, how valuable has Alex Gonzalez turned out to be at the start of the season?
Right. Well, they thought he was going to be invaluable because of his ability to play first base. Now he's over at 3rd. In the span of 5 days, the veteran has made a career start at a different position 2 times.
2-2 pitch. Gonzalez chops one over to short. Pennington has a long throw. Gonzalez is out. Close call at first base. Outstanding play by Pennington on a ball in the hole.
I didn't think he had a chance to get Gonzalez. Got rid of it quickly. He didn't get a whole lot on it, but it was right on the money. Check it out. A little bit of air underneath it, but look how accurate it is. And looks like he got him. What a heck of a play by Pennington. Man.
Well, good call.
By an eyelash.
Gonzalez has lost a step or two after the knee surgery last year. And Pennington, it looked like Pennington wanted to go to third base originally, but that wasn't available for him with the speedy Segura, so he gets the out. Could be a big play in this game. Here's Lucroy now. Strike one.
And check it out. And no play on Segura for sure, but able to get him at first. Gonzalez a little bit upset. Good thing he didn't get thrown out. They don't have anybody to play the infield. I guess Josh Prince, you throw him over there, but when you basically have 3 guys on your bench and 2 of them are not infielders, you don't want to be messing around and getting thrown out at this point.
Now Lucroy collected his first hit of the year back in the first inning. Had a single to right. Brewers need a big hit here. 2 outs, second and third. And here's a 1-1. And that one misses inside. 2 balls and a strike.
This is where Lucroy was money last year. Men in scoring position, 2 outs. Not many better.
Segura reached on an infield hit. Weeks slapped one into left. And Lucroy even now 2-2.
That's the kind of swing right there that drives Luke crazy. I mean, that's not what he does when he's going well. Pulling baseballs, that was a breaking pitch away from him, and he hooked it, rolled over on it. Normally he waits back and drives that ball up the middle.
Lucroy hit .389 last year with runners in scoring position. Two pitch. Lucroy down the left field line, foul. Just hooked over one. And Lucroy with 2 outs and runners in scoring position hit nearly .400. He was the best in the business in the National League.
All catchers.
Yeah, how about that? Lucroy, Montero, and Ruiz. Lucroy missed 2 months of the season last season with a hand injury. He was hitting over .500 with runners in scoring position before the injury in late May. So the Brewers have the right man at the plate in a spot like this. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And he popped him up. Pennington is under it, and the inning is over. And again, the Brewers strand 2. Still 6-2 Arizona. got us started with a bang tonight. Made a great catch in the first inning. Chris Davis, his first career major league hit. It was a double. Gene Segura drove in Davis in that inning with a 2-out RBI, but the Diamondbacks come roaring back. Kubel, a 2-run homer, and Paul Goldschmidt, a 2-run home run as well. Diamondbacks scoring 5 runs combined in the 4th and the 5th, and that chases Mike Fiers. Fiers ends up going 5 innings, 6 earned runs allowed on 9 hits. And here we go to the 6th inning now. Chris Narveson will take over. He's made 1 appearance. That was out of the bullpen against the Rockies. Went 1 inning. And back on the mound, and probably going to try to give Renicky a couple of innings here.
And trying to stretch him out, get him to feel comfortable out there on the mound. He made 6 appearances and 5 starts during spring training. And right toward the end, the Brewers decided to shut him down a little bit. Not completely, but felt as though he wasn't ready to make starts. And now he's here in the bullpen. 1 of 3 lefties for Ron Renicky.
He'll face Cliff Pennington, the switch hitter, to start it. Pitcher spot due up after that, and then to the top of the order at Parra. Well, Pennington's play last inning on Alex Gonzalez is a big one. Could have been an inning saver. Well, you never know. If Pennington doesn't make that play, the Brewers are looking at bases loaded and 1 out with Lucroy coming up. Instead, Pennington from deep in the hole at short throws out Gonzalez, and Corbin able to get out of the inning. Brewers have left 6 men on base. In 3 different innings, they've stranded 2. Ball's pulled foul, and some off-speed stuff from Narveson.
Another changeup specialist. He has a very good one. He'll throw a cut fastball, a curveball, and get his fastball up to about 91, 92.
Bouncer to Gonzalez, and 1 away for Narveson. So Kirk Gibson's going to allow his pitcher to hit here in the 6th inning. He's done a nice job on the mound after a rocky start. At one point he retired 8 straight. Gave up back-to-back hits last inning, but able to get out of the inning with no damage. And he bunts. Lucroy pounces on it, and a good throw for out number 2. Narveson will take that.
Yeah, so will Ron Renicky. Outs have been hard to come by for the Brewers skipper the first week of the season.
Ron Renicky and his bench coach Jerry Narron. Probably the most soft-spoken manager bench coach combination that there is.
You mean they don't talk a whole lot?
Very quietly and not a whole lot, but when they speak,
right, they have something to say.
Both are great baseball men for sure. Very smart. Renicky's always raining down the praise on Jerry Narron, his bench coach, former big league manager with the Reds. Talk about old school now. Jerry Narron. I mean, he's the guy that's at the ballpark 8 hours before a game in uniform, reading the newspaper,
ready to go.
Working the crossword, just waiting for somebody to show up.
You got to give him a set of keys, right? He gets there before the clubhouse staff, Tony Miggs and his guys. I know that happened in spring training quite a bit. Jerry get there when it's still dark.
Says, well, you know, I'm awake at 5 a.m. I might as well go to the ballpark. as Parra draws the walk. 2-out walk issued by Narveson. Well, the Brewers and the Diamondbacks will wrap up this series and this homestand tomorrow. Ian Kennedy and Yovani Gallardo, a matchup of aces. Kennedy had a good start his first time out against St. Louis. Gallardo, 5 innings and 3 earned runs against the Rockies his first go round. Miller Lite, what's on tap? Tomorrow's finale. Nori Aoki bobblehead day here at Miller Park. Well, first pass through the rotation did not go so well for the Brewers outside of Kyle Loesch. Martin Prado has a hit. He singled and scored in the first. 1 for 3. This National League West is shaping up to be a very competitive division. Got the Dodgers and their huge offseason, newsworthy offseason, spending money. Zach Greinke started yesterday for the Dodgers. He pitched well. Dodgers are 2-2 to start. They are playing the Pirates tonight. Kershaw is back on the mound tonight after his complete game gem in the opener. You know, the Giants are going to be good with their great pitching. Defending world champs. Prado into right center. Gomez will play it on a hop. And Parra on his way to third base. So the Diamondbacks putting a little something together with 2 outs here. A 2-out walk followed by a 2-out single.
And now you got the tough part of this batting order coming up. And you see Gerardo Parra with very good speed. He's a base stealer. He's able to get to third base on the base hit to center field.
First and third now with 2 away. Martin Prado, 2 hits tonight. He led the National League in multi-hit games last year. That's 60 of them for the Braves. Strike 1 to Aaron Hill. That one skips away from Lucroy. Parra stays put, but Prado on his way to second on the wild pitch.
Well, that's the main thing. You got to keep that man at third base. Now base hit scores 2 though. And he spikes that changeup. Lucroy tried to surround it and just couldn't keep it close enough to keep Prado at first.
Brewers are down 4. Can't afford to give up any more as Narveson misses. 1 ball 1 strike on Hill. I check it 2-1 on Hill. Aaron Hill once had a 36 home run season as a member of the Blue Jays in 09. Right off the end of the bat, Segura gloves it and takes care of his man. So Narveson puts up a 0 in the 6th. Good change up there. Still 6-2. The Brewers are coming to bat. Entertaining sausage race. Now the Brewers are now 5 games into the 2013 campaign. You can check out the latest FIST list on 5 observations so far from Jerry Augustine at FoxSportsWisconsin.com. A guy who jammed a lot of hitters in his day. 5 observations from Augie. When are we going to put Augie back on television again? He's been in hiding a little bit.
He was at the ballpark, what, a couple of days ago? With the family. He just loves baseball. He loves to be around the ballpark. And I think we're going to see Augie in Chicago.
He was on opening day. Packed him on ice. We don't want to burn him out too fast.
Right.
He and Dave Nelson sharing the Brewers Live pre and post game duties. There's a rumor that Craig Counsell might make an appearance on the Brewers Live pre and post.
Right. Looking forward to that.
That is not confirmed yet, but we're hearing rumblings. As Yuni Betancourt with a base hit. Well, the Brewers trying to get something going here. They've been held to just 2 runs despite 8 hits. Betancourt with his first hit of the night. He's 1 for 3.
Well, a little change up off the outside corner, and Betancourt able to hook it. You see the head of the bat out in front of the hands and able to punch it into left field.
So a man on. Here's Gomez now. Gomez has had a stellar opening homestand defensively. Had a nice catch tonight, crashing into the wall. Took a home run back from Carlos Gonzalez in the Rockies series. Hoping to do some damage with his bat here. Gomez is 2 for 17 at the plate to start the year. Does have an RBI double. And out in front of that off speed.
Corbin's starting to be a little bit more effective with his breaking pitch. Really didn't have much of one early in the game, but he's starting to mix it up much better.
Back up the middle, got a piece of Corbin, and the tag at second base on Betancourt.
That's too bad. That ball gets through. It's a base hit. Corbin able to knock it down, and he'll able to make the tag at second.
The fielder's choice for Gomez.
Yep, another ball off the end of the bat for the Brewers. So that tells you that Corbin's changeup starting to be much more effective.
Now 1 gone. Gomez at first for Chris Davis now. Diamondbacks have activity in their bullpen. Pitch count for Corbin is at 92. So he's coming up to the finish line here. Davis, little half swing foul. Well, let's hope that double by Davis in his first trip to the plate back in the second will get him going at the plate. There's Josh Prince preparing for what will be his first big league at bat. Just called up today, takes the roster spot of Aramis Ramirez. Alfredo Figueroa in the Brewers bullpen. Brewers have found themselves in this position far too often so far to start the year. trailing by 4. And the count goes to 3-1.
Well, Corbin's been trying to come inside on Davis. Let's see if he tries to do it on 3-1. Be interesting to see if he's going to be able to handle it. Double barrel action down in that Diamondbacks bullpen.
Reynolds the lefty, and Heath Bell is the right-hander. Now Davis has a hitter's count. And a bouncer to the mound. Corbin to second for 1, and a double play to end the inning. Patrick Corbin pitching a gem. 6-2 Diamondbacks. Josh Prince, and he is coming in for the very first time in the major leagues. A double switch here. His major league debut. And Renicky will bring on a new pitcher. Narveson works a scoreless inning in the 6th and will give way to Alfredo Figueroa. Well, you got to wonder what's going through his mind right now. Josh Prince. And there's Figueroa, who's been impressive in his first couple of outings this year.
Yeah, a lot of young kids that the Brewers are counting on early on here this year. Last pitched on Wednesday against the Rockies. An inning in the 3rd of scoreless baseball, including a couple of strikeouts. Also threw 2 scoreless innings on opening day for Milwaukee.
So Figueroa will bat in Davis's spot, and Prince will lead off in the bottom of the 7th. It's a 6-2 Diamondbacks lead. And Figueroa will face Miguel Montero to start this inning. Montero, Goldschmidt, and Kubel. Now Mark Concannon has found a group from Lake Charles, Louisiana. Right, Mark?
BA, they are here from right outside of Lake Charles, from Sulphur, Louisiana. Bob and Kathy Prince, they flew in this morning. They are Josh's mom and dad. Bob, you had a catch with this guy in the driveway when he was just a youngin'. He's out in left field in a major league ballpark right now. What are you feeling?
Nervous. I'm probably more nervous than he is.
And let's talk about how you found out about this. He called you late last night, right?
Last night at 11:15, he called me. I was watching Sports Center, and he says, "Dad, do you have your credit card?" I said, "Yes." So I started giving him the numbers, and he says, "No, I don't need it. You need it." He says, "I just got called up. You need to go get you a ticket." So last night at 12:30, I was on the internet getting air flights to up here.
And you made it in. Mom is getting a picture here. Kathy, what are you feeling right now seeing your little boy?
Grow up. Exciting, but sick in my stomach. But
Must be a proud moment for you. Did you ever know that he would make it this far? Did you have a feeling he had what it took?
I did. I knew he could, and I just put it in God's hands, and he pulled it through.
Well, he's excited to be here. I know he can help the Brewers in a lot of ways. Are you going to be coming back to Milwaukee for some more ball games?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
All right, the Princes, BA, they are thrilled to be here, and they can't wait for their son to take a hack in the bottom of the 7th. By the way, Grandma is here. Grandma, call her Smurf if you're scoring at home.
Well, that's a great story, and I can speak from experience, having been a family member of a brother who pitched in the major leagues. I know that feeling of anxiety from the family's perspective, and I know Josh is excited about this moment, and he will get his moment to hit when we get to the bottom of the 7th inning. We saw a lot of Josh Prince this spring and got to know him a little bit. He and Jonathan Lucroy put on a big crawfish boil.
Yeah.
The two Louisiana natives.
Made some gumbo for the whole team in spring training. It was good, too. I got a chance to taste it. It's good.
Well, that's a great moment in his life, and his family is here to see it. It's been pretty cool. We had earlier in the week, we saw Martin Maldonado's mother was here for the first time in Milwaukee to see her son for opening day, and the Princes.
And my dad did not make my first game. My first game was actually in Arlington, Texas. Went from Vancouver to Arlington. First game was against the Texas Rangers, but he was in Milwaukee. Went from Arlington to Milwaukee, so he was at my first Brewers home game in Milwaukee.
It's rough on the families, I can tell you that.
Makes it even more special when you know that your folks are in the stands and they're watching you. And then because they play such a big role in getting you to the big leagues, you want them to enjoy it just like you are. And that's great that they can be here.
Good point. No balls, 2 strikes on Goldschmidt. And in the dirt, he's able to lay off. Well, the plan for Prince, and the reason he's here, is because he not only can play the outfield, he was just converted to the outfield prior to last season, but he was drafted out of Tulane as a shortstop and is most comfortable playing shortstop, and he actually played shortstop last night. And I think his ability to play infield and outfield gives Ron Renicky some flexibility now in the absence of Aramis Ramirez, so he can go either way with it.
And I think it helps him that, and you made this point early on tonight, that it's not that far removed from spring training where Prince was playing with all these guys for 6 weeks. He knows them, he feels comfortable with them, and it's good though that he gets his first big league action in the outfield. That's where he played all of spring training. It'd be a little bit different, I think, if they threw him out there at shortstop right away.
Figueroa with a runner at first, and Goldschmidt bounces one to third. Gonzalez bobbles to second, and they get the out at second base. That was close. Brewers baseball on Fox Sports Wisconsin is brought to you by the Wisconsin Lottery, reminding you to please play responsibly, and by Miller Lite. It's not just a good time, it's Miller time. And over 30,000 would agree on a Saturday night at Miller Park. One gone. Montero out at second. And here's Jason Kubel now, who hit a 2-run home run in the 4th. And if you're wondering why the Brewers would call up a guy who can play short when they have, it seems like, an entire roster full of shortstops.
They're all playing somewhere else.
Yeah, they're counted on the corners. Alex Gonzalez and Uni Betancourt are going to play the corner positions at least for the next 2 weeks while Ramirez is out. So in essence, you don't have a shortstop, and that's the position that scares the manager the most as far as having coverage for, because of the demands of the position. And so if something should happen to Segura, at least you have a guy in Josh Prince that can play that position and has done it at a professional level.
Now the Brewers, by bringing up Josh Prince, do not have to make a move on their 40-man roster. Prince already on the 40-man, and just bring him up, no big deal. If you bring somebody else up that's not on the roster, somebody has to come off, and that becomes a very tough decision.
There's a strike to Kubel, 2-1. Well, you think about the Brewers roster, and Figueroa was one of those that made an opening day roster for the first time in the big leagues. One of 8 that the Brewers had. And now you add Prince to the mix, making his major league debut right now. This is an inexperienced ball club in certain areas. Brewers feel very good about the depth of their organization, but it is being tested early, a lot earlier than they thought. Kubel into right, and Aoki makes the play for the out. Second out of the inning for Figueroa. And, you know, Rock, we haven't even talked about the other injuries that have affected the way things have gone here. Taylor Green is out and not available. He would have been a natural selection to play in a backup role.
Probably would have made the club out of spring training had he not been hurt.
And then Jeff Bianchi, who came up last year and did a nice job. He can play all around the infield. He can play him in the outfield. So
that Brewers disabled list growing, and you hope it stops.
Bianchi and Green both on the DL late in the spring. Green played for Team Canada in the WBC, and he went on the disabled list. Taylor Green has a left hip injury, and Bianchi also a hip injury. So it's not just the starters in the big leagues, but the backup players as well. But that's the way it is. And the Brewers are going to have to weather the storm here.
Yeah, Ron Renneke used to trying to battle through injuries. He's been doing it pretty much since his first 3 years, right? I mean, Corey Hart's been hurt through spring training for 3 years. John Lucroy's had his problems. Zach Greinke. I mean, this is nothing new to the Brewers. Trying to weather the storm of injuries early on.
Now with injury comes opportunity. The Brewers have had some good finds because of injuries. Guys like Marco Estrada, Martin Maldonado. So the injuries created opportunities, and then the Brewers felt like, well, we've got some experience now. We've got some depth. Two outs. Figueroa has Kubel down on the count 0-2. And that ball hit the glove of Lucroy. Catcher's interference, and this inning will continue. Boy, he took the glove right off Jonathan Lucroy.
Yeah, that's going to be an E2 interference. Eric Chavez able to reach. Watch him reach. Glove comes off, and that'll be an error on Jonathan. Most of the time when you have catcher's interference, it's just a little bit of a tick or a glancing blow. That was a full-on shot and knocked his glove off.
The second error for the Brewers tonight. And now here is Pennington. I believe I was calling Chavez Kubel. Apologize for that. Kubel flew out to right for the second out of the inning. So Chavez and Goldschmidt aboard for Pennington. 1 for 3 tonight. And a sparkling defensive play in this game that could be a game changer. He threw out Alex Gonzalez in the 5th. Figueroa deals a 2-1 low, 3 balls and a strike. Alfredo Figueroa, hard thrower, had a great spring, non-roster invitee, made this club, and he pitched so well with such good velocity. Pitched his way right onto the roster. He and Donovan Hand were battling it out for that last bullpen spot. That is 3-2 on Pennington.
And I think the Brewers would like to go with the big velocity. Donovan Hand, more of a sinker baller, that prefer to have him start down in the minor leagues. And Figueroa, not a very big guy, but boy, he can throw. He can get it up there at about 96.
See the Fox Tracks presented by Jeep. Everything away from Pennington. Two on, 2 out. Important to put up a 0 here in the 7th. Runners go, and a shot to shorts. Segura is there, and Segura's throw gets away. Another run will score. And the 3rd error of the night. And the Diamondbacks now lead 7-2. 2 errors in this inning.
Yeah, 2 errors and a walk have plated a run, and the Brewers are still in trouble. A nice play by Segura going up the middle. He was a little bit off balance right there. He's able to stay on his feet, but wide throw. Betancourt, a little inexperience over there at first base. Not able to get to it. Error number 3.
So an E6 on Segura. And Rick Kranitz a visit with Figueroa. The Diamondbacks have announced a pinch hitter. Wisconsin native Eric Hinsky will get an at-bat. Has not been used very much this year. Just 0 for 2 from Menasha. And Kranitz out with a scouting report on Eric Hinsky.
Up there by Oshkosh. Nina Menasha.
Found a home with the Diamondbacks this year. 7-2. Arizona has the lead, and Hinsky takes a strike. I'm sure Hinsky has a bunch of friends and family here from Menasha, as he usually does. Big Packers fan here. Trying to remember that year. Was it 2 years ago, Rock, when the Green Bay Packers threw out the first pitch?
I think it was.
There was a bunch of them out there, remember?
Yeah.
After the Super Bowl, and Hinsky was on the top step. He was wanting to meet them all.
He wasn't the only one.
Just fit right in. There's a strike, and it's 1-2.
There was about, what, 45,000 others?
Yep. Runners at the corners. And Figueroa in the dirt. That was a great play by Lucroy to save another run.
Yeah, saved the run and kept Pennington at first base. Boy, Lucroy has blocked a lot of pitches tonight. Been a long day back there for Jonathan Lucroy. Last couple of days, actually. When things don't go well for your pitching staff, a catcher wears it just as much as they do.
And Hinsky with a base hit. So another run is in. Hinsky with an RBI single in a pinch hit appearance, and it's now 8-2. And this one's getting uglier by the moment.
Well, Figueroa getting behind in the count, leaving one up in his own, and Hinsky, the veteran, able to serve it into center, out in the left center, and played a run. Back-to-back errors should have ended the inning, and because of the errors, a couple of runs in.
And another double-digit hit total for the opposition. 4 of the 5 games the opposition has had double-digit hits. The Diamondbacks with 11 hits now. Gerardo Parra back to the top of the order. Parra has a hit tonight. He's 1 for 3. Drove in a run in the 4th. He had a walk. Man, what a start to the season.
And a guy that had a tough time finding playing time a year ago. Kind of the odd man out, wasn't he? Chris Young, you had Justin Upton out there, and Kubel just couldn't find playing time, and that's not going to be a problem for him this year.
Ball and 2 strikes on Parra. Parra won a Gold Glove a couple of years ago, and then was the odd man out last year. Remember, the Diamondbacks had, Chris Young, Justin Upton. Young now playing with the A's. Justin Upton's playing with his brother in Atlanta, and Parra's back in the mix in the outfield, the everyday right fielder this season. He and Braun went down to the wire in the voting for the Gold Glove 2 years ago. An abundance of outfielders with the Diamondbacks. They also have an abundance of shortstops.
Man, Parra only had 385 at bats last year. And not many.
When they added Kubel to the mix, that limited the playing time of Gerardo Parra. But he's trying to make sure he doesn't lose any playing time this season with the start that he's off to. Diamondbacks have a plan to use a bit of a platoon in left field. Martin Prado getting the start in left field tonight. There's Brandon Kinsler getting loose. And a strikeout for Figueroa. 2-run score, however, on a couple of errors. Josh Prince will get his first big league at bat when we continue.
The 7th at Miller Park, and with 2 of the Brewers' biggest stars, Ryan Braun and Aramis Ramirez, out of the lineup tonight, we get a look at some of the future stars of the Brewers organization. Here are the results of our AT&T Twitter poll. 54% of fans said they were most excited to see Chris Davis. 31% went with outfielder Logan Schaefer, and 15% went with the newest Brewer, Josh Prince, who was just called up today and will lead off the 7th here for his first major league at bat, Brian.
All right, Sophia, thanks. And we're looking forward to that. And you know his parents in the stands tonight are anxious for this at-bat. Look at his mom, Kathy. Don't forget Grandma Smurf. She's up there, too. So Bob and Kathy from just outside Lake Charles to see this debut of Josh Prince.
Gentleman to the right didn't seem to be too nervous. Having no problem taking down that hot dog.
All right, so Prince got an inning of defense. Entered the game on the double switch. And his big league career begins tonight. Heath Bell is on the mound, a former all-star closer. And I don't blame Prince for swinging away at the first pitch. That's how you do it. The numbers on Bell. He was acquired from the Marlins. Had a dismal year last year, and in his only outing against the Cardinals, he really struggled. Heath Bell, 3 earned runs. This guy was at the top of his field a few years back with the Padres. Signed a big contract with the Marlins, and that didn't last long. The Diamondbacks took a bunch of that money, and Mom can hardly watch. Man, I feel for you.
That's great.
Josh wears the glasses, the specs, when he is at the plate. Doesn't wear them in the field. Oh, 0-2 the count. In tight.
And Bell used to throw in the upper 90s. Right now at about 92 with a big curveball. Rough season a year ago, as you mentioned. Now pitching in the 7th inning with the Diamondbacks.
Reuniting with his former general manager in San Diego, Kevin Towers. As Prince lays off, and the count goes to 2-2. Ron Renicky was saying that Prince is kind of right on the verge of, being either an everyday player or a utility guy, and that's why they moved him to the outfield, coming up as an infielder. They didn't feel he was going to be an everyday shortstop in the major leagues, but has enough talent and tools where he could be an everyday outfielder. And if not, then at least he can play a couple positions. A flare to center field. Parra will make the catch for the out, and the first at bat is over with. Many more to come, we hope. Back to the top of the order, and Norichika Aoki at the plate tonight, presented by Wendy's. Singled on an infield hit and scored the first run in the first inning. Diamondbacks lead 8-2. This was a 2-1 Brewers lead going into the 4th. Arizona scored 3 in the 4th, 2 in the 5th, just added 2 in the 7th. Brewers have committed 3 errors. Has not been a pretty night at the ballpark yet. Still time, though. Aoki begins the year this year under much different circumstances than last. Was a role player last year to start the year, a platoon player.
He wasn't getting hardly any playing time until about mid-May. That all changed quickly.
Most of his games came in right field last year, but he did play a few games in center field and a handful in left. Hit .288 last year, did Aoki. Slaps one to third, in and out of the glove of Chavez, and Aoki safe. Because you have to respect the bunt, Chavez in on the grass, and a hot line drive handcuffed Eric Chavez.
Yeah. Man, right off the end of the glove, and probably going to be a base hit. At least you'd think it would be. We'll see. Ball got to the glove in the dirt about the same time. Chavez couldn't come up with it cleanly.
That'll be a base hit for Aoki. And here's Gene Segura now. Has 3 hits tonight, Segura, including a double and an RBI back in the 2nd inning. Well, it's hard to figure on Heath Bell and the fall he has experienced. He's hoping to get it back and get back to the West, not the West Coast, but in the West Division.
Now, when you go from 97 miles an hour to 92, I mean, that pretty much tells you all you need to know. That's a big drop off in velocity.
He was the top relief pitcher, the Rolaids Relief Man of the Year in back-to-back seasons, 09 and 2010. A 3-time All-Star. And if you go back to that 09 season and you start the clock, he still leads all major league relievers in saves with 151 saves. I mean, we're talking about the class of closers for a couple of years, and he has lost it.
92 of the fastball, that last breaking pitch at 80.
He set up for Trevor Hoffman. Hoffman ended up with the Brewers, signing as a free agent. That opened the door for Bell to start closing that 09 season. Ball and a strike on Segura. Back up the box. Bell to second for 1. And a double play to end the inning. 8-2 D-backs. 7 innings in the books at Miller Park.
The 8th inning. Hey, groups can save over 80% on select games. Call group sales at 414-902-4477 or visit brewers.com/groups to catch a game from one of our all-inclusive areas, plan a perfect tailgate, and more.
A crowd of over 30,000 here at Miller Park. We're finding a way to have some fun tonight. Hasn't gone the way they've wanted it to on the field. Diamondbacks lead 8-2. Now, you know that guy. He can have fun anywhere. They're all dressed up, Rock.
What's that guy in the white? What's this guy up to?
Martin Prado. Hey, look at this play by Weeks in time for the out. Ricky Weeks with a stellar play at second base.
Well, watch Ricky at first step. He angles back and he's able to get to it. Actually grabs it when the ball's behind him. And this time takes his time and makes a good throw to first.
Well, the Brewers have committed 3 errors tonight, but there have been some terrific defensive plays in this game as well. Chris Davis and Carlos Gomez come to mind. Segura. There's strike 1 to Aaron Hill.
Carlos Gomez has had some nice catches out in center field.
That ball's ripped deep left field. Aaron Hill has sent one out, and it's 9-2 Diamondbacks. And Aaron Hill just continues his onslaught against Brewer pitching. That's a second hit tonight. A double and a home run now. His first home run of the season.
And it turned around a 95-mile-an-hour fastball from Figueroa. Right down the middle, and he jumped all over it. Check it out. Up, down the middle, and see you later. Guy can hit. Nice short stroke. Just picks the heel up of that front toe and front foot and launches one out of here.
Third home run of the night for the Diamondbacks. Kubel, Goldschmidt, and Hill. Miguel Montero now with one away. Got a lot of games going final in the big leagues. A lot of day games today. Fox Saturday Baseball made its debut today. Saw the Angels beat the Rangers as Montero with a base hit. Cincinnati and Washington went to extra innings today. Nationals beat them 7-6. Washington is 4-1 to start the year. Reds are 3-2. Well, the Nationals have a good ball club.
Yes, they do. They can hit. They can pitch.
Reds beat the Nationals 15-0 last night. And Washington comes back to win in extra innings. Bryce Harper homered, as did Jason Worth. Harper has 3 home runs already. Remember Wilson Ramos with the Twins? Yeah. He was traded to Washington, and it was an injury, a knee injury that cost him most of the year last year. Well, he's back now. He had 2 home runs today. So the Nats only got better. I always liked him with the Twins. Minnesota traded Ramos to the Nationals for Matt Capps.
Yeah, good deal for the Nats.
Tigers beat the Yankees 8-4. Cardinals over the Giants. Shelby Miller picked up his first win. Cardinals have a lot of good young arms. And Miller's one of them. One of their top prospects. Picked up the victory today. Phillies over the Royals.
It's going to take a while to get used to having interleague play every day.
Yeah, it's a strange sight.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this game in Houston tonight. The Astros and the Oakland. Oh, wait a minute. The Astros are in the American League now. Astros are trailing the Oakland A's 6-3. Everybody in the Diamondbacks lineup has a hit tonight. 9 runs on 13 hits. Two and two on Goldschmidt. Fouls it back.
Man, just missed that last pitch at 96 miles an hour. Guys feeling very comfortable up there at the plate against the Brewers tonight. I think it's a mighty hacks. Figueroa trying to work him inside.
There's a swing and a miss, and Figaro strikes out Goldschmidt.
97 that time. Reaching back and getting him.
Had a little anger on it.
Yes, he did.
After the home run to Hill, a strikeout of Paul Goldschmidt for the second out.
Right by him. Good pitch they hit, but a little bit too much on it.
Second strikeout for Figaro. And here comes Jason Kubel. Kubel's been busy tonight. He scored 3 times. A double, a 2-run homer. He reached on a fielder's choice and scored in the 7th inning. This Diamondbacks team can bang with the best of them. They were one of the top offenses in the league last year in a number of categories. They led the National League in doubles last year. Second in walks. They were up there at on-base percentage and runs scored. All in the top 5 in those categories. And they lose Justin Upton, but they pick up a valuable piece in Martin Prado, trading from a position of strength. They traded Young last year to Oakland. Well, there was a day just a couple of years ago you thought Chris Young and Justin Upton were the cornerstone pieces for a long time in Arizona in the outfield. As Kubel drops one into center field for a base hit. And they just keep coming. Hit number 14 for Arizona.
Man, you just never know how an organization wants to go about, building. Obviously, Upton and Young not in the plans. They get an outstanding clubhouse guy in Martin Prado. Very versatile defender. A very good on base percentage. He can hit. A lot of inconsistency with Chris Young and Justin Upton. You're not going to get that inconsistency so much with Prado.
Eric Chavez returning to the lineup tonight after being hit in the elbow at part of that 16-inning game. He did not finish that game. And he's showing nowhere tonight. He has 2 hits and he scored 2 runs. Well, it doesn't get any easier tomorrow for the Brewers. They'll be matching up against Ian Kennedy, ace right-hander of the Diamondbacks. There's Wade Miley, last night's starter. Brandon McCarthy, who came to the D-backs from the Oakland A's. I thought Arizona did a nice job this offseason. They put some pieces together, and they are no sleeper in the West.
A very tough Western Division.
There's tomorrow's starter. Well, he and Gallardo had a couple of showdowns in the postseason in 2011. They matched up twice, game 1 and game 5. Gallardo got the best of him.
Let's hope that trend continues.
That's the matchup tomorrow. Gallardo and Kennedy back at Miller Park. Yeah, both of those matchups in the playoffs in 2011 were here at Miller Park. Chavez in the air. Josh Prince makes the play for the out. Inning over. Another run on the board for the D-backs. It's 9-2.
not only during the game, before the game. It's been a long week already. The Brewers right now on the verge of dropping their 4th straight home game to open up the season, Davey. A lot of growing pains with all the injuries, and I guess you could also look at it as players shuffling as well from one spot to another on this field.
You're right, Craig. I think the number one thing, it is growing pains, but it's something that, every team goes through, but they don't go through it this early in the season. Boy, you're 4 games into the season, and all the injuries, the shuffling is something that Ron Renick and his squad knows is they got to just fight through it.
And we've got Brewers Live postgame coming up after the ball game, and of course our instructional featuring Davey and Rock, and we're going to be behind the plate where Rock is very comfortable, of course.
That's right.
And we're going to be talking about catcher's positioning. And Brian, I'm pretty sure the question to Rock is, what role will he play tonight?
That's right. That's always the question. He'll be doing the catching. Is the tools of brilliance, right, Rock?
Are you talking to me?
I don't know. You're just kind of like a bystander in this conversation.
I just see the three of you kind of give me a hard time.
Everybody's laughing. Ricky Weeks lines one to left field, and the new left fielder, A.J. Pollock, makes a catch for the out. With all that friendly banter, we didn't get a chance to give you the changes here. Pollock comes in to play left. That moves Prado to third base. And the new pitcher is left-hander Matt Reynolds.
You can see Reynolds has done a nice job. Couple of appearances, has not allowed a run, 3 innings overall. One of 2 left-handers out in that Diamondbacks bullpen. Tony Sipp, the other.
So Ricky Weeks with a hit tonight, 1 for 4, lines out for the first out of the inning. Here's Gonzalez. That might have been the pivotal play of the ball game. Gonzalez was at the plate, a ground ball in the hole at short, and Pennington made a terrific play to get Gonzalez. Had Gonzalez reached, it would have loaded the bases with 1 out, but starter Patrick Corbin got through that inning and ended up going 6 innings with just 2 earned runs allowed, and he and Miley putting up 2 good starts for the Diamondbacks in the first 2 games of this series. Gonzalez down on strikes, a foul tip into the mid of Montero. 2 up and 2 down. Well, a reminder, this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Brewers. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Any accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent of the Milwaukee Brewers. Two outs for Lucroy. So what will your role be in the instructional?
I will probably be the catcher. Comes as no surprise, does it?
I'm not worried about you squatting down. It's the getting up part that concerns me.
I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Don't worry about me. I'll be good.
Well, we'll send somebody out there just in case, like a stand-in.
Yeah? You?
No, I was thinking somebody looked more like you.
See, now you're a catcher. This will be right up your alley.
I was a college catcher. That doesn't count. Nobody cares about college players.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to talk about some of the tips. Young kids, give them a sense for how far behind the hitter you should set up.
Well, with the catcher's interference today.
Right. You see, it all comes full circle here.
Wow.
In Brewers post-game instructionals. It's not pulling something randomly out of my hat here. It's got to make somewhat of sense, the game that we're watching.
Got to make some kind of connection. You feel that burden, don't you?
I do.
The very popular Brewers instructionals. Now, I noticed this spring you were spending a lot of time on the backfields prior to our award-winning webcast doing some instructionals. When will we be seeing some of those?
I'm not sure.
Because I'm really looking forward to that. You had some umpires out there.
Yeah,
you had some players.
Yeah, I know. We're gonna sprinkle them in at some point. That's completely up to our wonderful pregame producer Brad Weimer and postgame. He has, however, elected to have us go down live all week. And he's in charge. I see. I don't have anything to say about it. I'm just told what to do.
Well, that's got a chance to add another layer to the instructionals this year, which is nice.
You know, I did some with, you know, as you mentioned, an umpire. I did some with John Shelby. I also did some in fantasy camp this year. Some of my fantasy camp coaches, Cecil Cooper amongst them.
Oh, okay, good. I was thinking not fantasy campers.
No, the coaches.
Unless you're trying to teach people how to get over a hamstring injury, which are frequent at fantasy camp. How to not trip and fall between home and first. And I'm saying that as a former fantasy camp participant.
I worked with T-Bone on some base running, to change the subject. As we see T-Bone there on the screen.
Bouncer back to the mound, and that's going to work for a base hit for Lucroy. Well, they said he was going to get 2 hits tonight. And Lucroy is 2 for 4.
Hey, don't forget, tomorrow the Brewers take on these Diamondbacks. We talked about that great pitching matchup. Ian Kennedy, Yvonne Garrett. That's at 1:10 p.m. All fans in attendance get the Nori Aoki bobblehead courtesy of Robert Hack Diamonds. Go to Brewers.com for tickets.
It's the Nori Aoki bobblehead. See, if you position it just right, it looks like your partner. See? Oh, Rock, you looking forward to my bobblehead tomorrow?
I like that shot a lot better than that one where your face was right against the camera. That one kind of scared me a bit.
Betancourt pops up, and the inning is over. To the 9th we go. Marshfield Clinic, and we take you through the night of Gene Segura, who has 3 hits tonight. Segura with an RBI double in the second. He reached on an infield hit back in the 5th inning. 3 for 4 at the plate. And Segura with a defensive gem earlier in this game as well. He does have an error in tonight's game. But Segura is off to a great start at the plate. He and Ricky Weeks red hot with the bats. Unfortunately for the Brewers, they have plated just 2 runs on those 10 hits. And they trail 9-2. Martin Maldonado will take over at first base. Good chance to get some experience for a few guys. Betancourt over to third base now. And the new pitcher is Brandon Kinsler.
Yeah, Kinsler on for the 3rd time this year. He's got 3 strikeouts, has not walked a batter. Ron Rentke giving some of his guys some work. Darvison had an inning. Figueroa a couple, and now Brandon Kinsler.
Diamondbacks with some crooked numbers tonight. They scored 3 in the 4th, added 2 more in the 5th. There were home runs in those 2 innings by Kubel and Goldschmidt. Aaron Hill has homered as well. 3 Diamondbacks home runs tonight. Brewer pitchers have allowed 12 homers already this year in the 5th game of the season. So a lot of work to do on the mound, and certainly having to deal with the injuries as well offensively. Cliff Pennington turns around, hits left-handed, and into center field. Gomez has to play it on a hop. Another base hit. 15 hits now for Arizona.
These guys have a unique ability to be able to make contact on the baseball. They haven't struck out much in this series. Amazing. I mean, even on that last swing, just trying to put it in play and ends up with a base hit.
Looks like Tony Sipp will have the 9th inning. Here's A.J. Pollock. Started in center field yesterday, and he's part of that revolving door in the outfield. He's a good one too. Big prospect for the Diamondbacks. Sipp's first at bat of the ball game. Diamondbacks are going to have some decisions to make when they get a few players back. They have dealt with injuries themselves. Cody Ross, a new acquisition this offseason, as Pollock goes into right, and there is Aoki for out number 1.
And he played perfectly, shaded him over toward the line, and that's exactly where he hit it.
Back to the top of the order now in Parra. Arizona lost their starting center fielder prior to the season, Adam Eaton. It's an elbow injury. Cody Ross has a calf injury. He's already playing in a minor league rehab games now as he's on his way back. Maybe by Monday or Tuesday. The Diamondbacks are going home as Parra drops another base hit. His 11th of the season. He's 11 for 24 now.
Man, they're just hitting everything. All these guys, every one of them.
2 hits tonight for Parra to go along with a walk and an RBI. Don Baylor is happy about that, hitting coach. Well, 2 great players right there. Alan Trammell and Don Baylor. Baylor was the MVP of the American League in '79. Brewers hitting coach Don Baylor back in the early 90s for a couple of years under Tom Trebelhorn. Prado has 2 hits. Seemed like when you talk about Don Baylor, you talked about, you know, his great production at the plate, but also the guy who got hit all the time.
Yeah, right on the plate, never gave an inch. Daring you to come inside. And you know what? Never charged the mound, ever.
Just brushed it off. Can't hurt him.
Because he knows if he's going to be on top of home plate, he's a big, strong guy. And normally you pitch guys like that inside. You know, that's just the way it is. He came in, they hit him, he went to first base.
Got a chance to turn it here on Prado. It goes 6-4-3, and Kinsler puts up a 0 in the 9th. Last call for the Brewers, down 9-2.
seen some on this homestand. Ryan Braun's first of the year against Colorado. The Brewers have hit 4 this year. Ricky Weeks getting loose for one earlier on this homestand. But the one that they're still talking about, Gene Segura, not only his first homer of the year, but it was his first of his career, Gene Segura. That's our story tonight. Not a good news story at this point. 9-2 Diamondbacks. Tony Sipp, his third appearance, on to try to close it out for the Diamondbacks. And the Brewers have a chance tonight to have a couple of players deliver their first major league hits in the same game. Chris Davis did it earlier tonight, and Josh Prince is due up third in the center. Nine runs on 16 Arizona hits, 2 runs, 10 hits, and 3 big errors for the Brewers. And they have cost some runs tonight. 2 errors in the 7th led to a couple of runs. Weeks, Segura, and Lucroy tonight with the errors. But the Brewers do have 10 hits. Gomez 0 for 3. You're always looking for the carryover effect from one game to the next, even in a lopsided game like this. And you know, Gomez would like to give a good at bat and turn it around tomorrow. A tough customer on the mound tomorrow, and Ian Kennedy.
Yes, sir. Doesn't get much easier, and we'll just have to figure out a way to get things together. And it's one thing to have injuries, but they just have not played all that well. They've been making errors, make a lot of, pitchers are walking batters, and those are the types of things you just can't do and win games.
Airtime tomorrow, 12:30 for Brewers Live. Gallardo against Kennedy. Final game of the homestand. The Brewers hit the road Monday to go to Wrigley Field. That'll be the Cubs home opener. That'll be a wild scene at Wrigley. They're expecting some rain at Wrigley Field. Probably have the roof closed there. Oh, there's no roof at Wrigley. That's right.
You got your long johns packed.
Yeah. Coldest place in the world.
A couple
Wrigley
of
Field
night games Tuesday and Wednesday in Chicago.
That'll be good to see our old buddy Lynn Casper. He's got a new partner this year, Jim DeShays. His old partner is just next door, Bob Brenly, now with the Diamondbacks. Back at his hometown, the place he managed, as Gomez strikes out for the first out.
He was a World Series winning manager for the Diamondbacks and now a broadcaster.
One of the great guys in the league too, Bob Brenly. Terrific broadcaster, does postseason for TBS every year. Martin Maldonado batting for the first time. Maldonado getting an inning of first base in tonight. He's played that position. Saw a little bit last year. He played first base in the World Baseball Classic this season. Could be another option over there for Ron Renicky.
Well, the guy that hits the most is probably going to be the guy that ends up playing over at first base the most. It's all about hitting. And timely hitting, for that matter.
Oh, and 2 on Maldonado. Well, Mike Fiers started tonight.
he struggled and is on the hook for the loss. Gave up 6 runs in 5 innings. Patrick Corbin is in line for the win for the Diamondbacks. He went 6 as well, 2 earned runs. Brewers scored some early runs tonight and had a lot of men on base. Saw Chris Narveson out of the bullpen tonight. He went a scoreless inning. Figueroa went 2. And Kinsler worked a scoreless top of the ninth. So he rested bullpen. One of those that Renicky likes to use if the Brewers have the lead. Big concern over Ryan Braun, though, especially, we're talking about going to Wrigley Field. It's going to be cool and there's going to be some rain. And that's not the best weather conditions to recover from neck spasms. Sometimes you go from the 90-degree heat of Arizona, start the season, you can shake it up a little bit as Maldonado strikes out. 2 gone. And the Brewers down to their last out. Here comes Josh Prince. And let's see if he can collect his first big league hit. Don't leave just yet. You've hung in there this long. You might as well stay to the end. Prince's parents. Camera's out. And he pops it up. So Prince is retired and the Brewers are done. 9-2, Arizona wins it. And the Brewers have lost 4 straight. One to forget tonight. Redo it tomorrow. Gallardo and Kennedy, the Brewers and the Diamondbacks. Let's send it out to Craig Kashan. What do you have coming up on Brewers Live, Craig?
All right, good news for that, Brian, that Yo's back out on the hill tomorrow. We'll take a look at that pitching matchup in the finale. Find out from the Brewers how they think they can break this slump here to start the first week of the 2013 season. We'll get inside the clubhouse. Plenty more coming up next. Brewers Live is on the way on Fox Sports Wisconsin.